In 1896, Guglielmo Marconi invented wireless broadcasting, sending a Morse code transmission 3.7 miles. Since then, broadcasting has grown to touch virtually every person on the planet.
It's about people and what they want or what they hope for.
And it was always the pictures that told the stories. That's what makes television news so unique.
Tonight, the Buffalo Broadcasters Association celebrates its 25th anniversary with Marconi's own words. Are you ready? Welcome to the 2021 Buffalo Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame celebration. Tonight, we honor a distinguished class of broadcasters who helped Western New York become the great media market it is today. Tonight's inductees include WIVB Call for Action reporter Al Vaughters, award-winning radio and television reporter WKBW's Eileen Buckley, WGRZ Chief Photographer Andy DeSantis, Beasley Media Group Chief Communications Officer Heidi Raphael, WGRZ Consumer Reporter turned college professor Mike Igoe, the President of Mercury Capital Partners Charlie Banta, photographer and media attorney Mickey Osterreicher, and children's show innovators Bob and Ellen Knechtels. Now please welcome your host for the evening, longtime AM Buffalo host and radio personality Linda Pellegrino, and award-winning actor-director William Fichtner.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Buffalo Broadcaster Association 2021 Hall of Fame induction ceremony. We're so glad you're all here. I'm Linda Pellegrino, and I'm going to be your MC this evening, along with Western New York native turned Hollywood star, Bill Fichtner. Yes. You didn't know we had the same hairdresser. Oh, yeah. Listen, everybody, tonight we honor inspiring, innovative broadcasters who have made an impact in Western New York, in our community, and beyond. And we have generations of great broadcasters, and it's just so great to see everybody come in tonight to honor these folks and to reminisce about some wonderful years in broadcasting in this community. Bill?
Absolutely. Along with this talented class, we celebrate another major achievement, the 25th anniversary of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. Tonight, for a quarter of a century, the Buffalo Broadcasters Association has worked to preserve Western New York history, honor those who've excelled within the industry, and dedicated itself to supporting the next generation of broadcasters. Tonight, you'll learn more about that mission than you ever thought you could. But we will share it all with you.
And it is hard to believe that it's really been 2 years since we have been able to celebrate. So we want to thank everybody tonight for coming in and understanding the appropriate safety guidelines that happened at the doorway. And we also would like to take a moment to recognize all the broadcasters in this room. So everybody turn to your neighbor and give them a nod and let them know they've done a great job, because this has been a tough 2 years for everybody in town. Absolutely applaud yourselves. And it hasn't been an easy 2 years. We want to also thank our healthcare workers. They've been fighting the pandemic on the front lines. We want, yes. We have people who have fought the disease themselves, and some of them could be here tonight. And we also think about those who have lost a loved one to COVID-19. But over the past 2 years, we have seen just how important information has been to our community and beyond, in fact, our entire country. So we want to thank everybody here, and we want to thank you for the role you have played and how hard you worked to pass vital information along to the public.
We'll begin our induction ceremony momentarily, but first, please welcome the President of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association, Katie Morse to give the annual President's report.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. It's wonderful to be together again and to celebrate our next class of Hall of Fame inductees. After being unable to meet in person for so long, we're thrilled to be able to be here and celebrate the impact that they've had on our business. Every one of us is here today because one or maybe many of them has touched us in a special way through their work, through their leadership, through their mentorship. And many of you are probably sitting here thinking, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for this person. So I hope all of our inductees know just how much they've impacted all of us in our lives. Let's have a round of applause for our inductees. It's also my honor to be here to celebrate 25 years of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. Special events like these make me really proud to be the president of this organization. And I want to thank the founders of the BBA who came together 25 years ago and decided just how important it was to save local history, but to also connect members of our industry. As we celebrate this milestone, how beautiful is this venue? Our goal was to make tonight special, not only for our inductees and our members, but for everyone who took the time to be here with us tonight. And a special thank you to board member Steve Monaco, the vice president, who has worked tirelessly, 24/7, to make sure that everything and anything was done for tonight. And I want to thank Judge Penny Wolfgang, his co-chair as well, for her help. If you're not already a member of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association, I'd like to invite you to become one. We are always working to provide our members with opportunities to connect and learn and to grow. And I know the board members are excited to get back to planning in-person events now that we're able to. These past couple years have been filled with challenges for all businesses and organizations, and I'm proud with how our board members pivoted. This past year, we held a virtual wine tasting, a lot of fun, a fundraiser with broadcaster Kevin Lavallo as he shared his expertise with us from our homes. We also have virtual conversations with CNN anchor Wolf Blitzer, former CNN reporter Susan Candiotti, and CBS anchor and special correspondent Jeff Glore. One positive thing I think that came from the pandemic is the fact that we more easily connect with those who aren't in Western New York right now, so that means we can hold these kind of events, which then become real learning opportunities for all of us. Navigating the job market, not easy during the pandemic, and it hasn't been easy for many young journalists, but we still found a way to connect them with hiring opportunities. So thank you to our board member, Anne-Marie Franzak, who took the lead transitioning our job fair to a virtual arena. Part of our mission is to support the next generation of broadcasters. If you've been working with us, you know that. So this was a great way to connect those students. We've also taken time to grow our relationship with local colleges, specifically SUNY Buffalo State. Did you know that BBA collaborates with the communication department there, teaches 2 classes, and helps to do that, and that students produce television shows that air Saturday evenings on WNYO. It's that hands-on approach. If you're in the business, you know just how important that is, and the partnership with Buff State allows these students to get it. And many of the volunteers that you saw tonight were students, so thank you to all of them for taking time. It's not easy when you're in college, but they're here with us tonight, and they opted to do that. I also know so many of you in this room took time out of your day to speak to students. If you have ever taken time to speak with students or to mentor students as part of the BBA, would you raise your hand? Because I know, look at all the hands that are going up throughout this room. Thank you so much to everyone who's helped out, because the feedback that we get from students is really wonderful. As always, the BBA remains dedicated to another part of its mission, preserving Western New York history. We're always working to identify and digitize film and tape from WIVB and WKBW. I'm really excited to tell you, a couple months ago, we learned we were awarded the largest single grant in our organization's history, $15,000 from the Western New York Library Resource Council. So thank you to our former chair of Archive Committee, Rich Newberg, for some of the legwork he put in. And thank you to our new chair, Leslie Feldball. We're really lucky to have Leslie on our board now. Her father, Pat, was a board member, so she learned about our organization. And not only was she the author of this grant, but she's also a cataloging and metadata librarian, which is something that we really needed on our board. She's been so helpful, and under her direction, we're going to be able to continue to grow that archive project. So that's just a brief rundown of some of the exciting things that we've done the past 2 years, and I promise you many more to come. If you're not a member already, please consider joining. We'd love to have you. You can stay up to date with all of our future events. As always, at this event, we find that we are fielding questions about how you nominate people to be inducted in the Hall of Fame. So I'd like to invite you to visit our website because there is a form right there where you can nominate people, and we welcome those nominations. I want to end by thanking my board members who worked really hard to make the Buffalo Broadcasters a success. Thank you for helping us navigate these uncertain times and for using your free time for the BBA. Thank you to my Channel 7 family as well for being so supportive of all of our efforts at the BBA. My bosses are here tonight, Mark and Aaron. They've gone out of their way to help anytime I've asked and said yes to anything that I've needed, so I really appreciate that. And as I turn things back over to our hosts for the evening, Linda Pellegrino and William Fichtner, I want to say thank you to them for taking time out of their schedules to be here with us. We really appreciate it. Have a wonderful night.
All right, thank you, Katie. Listen, everybody, as you know, the broadcasting world is tightly tied to the communities that we serve, and that's why every year the Buffalo Broadcasters Association creates a public service announcement for an organization that does immeasurable good in Western New York.
We call the initiative BBA Cares. This year, the BBA worked with the SPCA serving Erie County in hopes of helping find a home for animals in need. Take a look.
Hi, I'm Gina Latuca, and this is Tootsie from the SPCA serving Erie County. You've heard about our animal adoptions, investigations, rescues, and more. But here's what you may not know. We're not connected with any other animal organization or SPCA, and we don't receive any tax dollars. That means we completely rely on your donations to provide our important services to Erie County. Be a part of making miracles happen every day at the SPCA. Visit yourspca.org and help us save lives.
That's hard to follow up, but yet there's another important organization celebrating a milestone this year, one that broadcasters have supported for decades. So let's take a look at that.
The Variety Club Telethon. It's the longest-running locally produced telethon in the U.S., if not the world. Starting in 1962 on Channel 2, the telethon was the vision of the late Dr. Robert Warner to help support his groundbreaking rehabilitation center. Dr. Warner enlisted the assistance of Variety Club, established in the early 1930s to help Children's Hospital and other children's charities, originally with theatrical shows. In 1963, the telethon moved over to Channel 7, where it grew into an annual must-see event for decades, with the entire community coming together, a grassroots phenomenon with everyday people and major corporations all stepping up, welcoming big stars, local talent, and sharing memorable moments with news personalities like the legendary Irv Weinstein.
Now, someone has said that this is my song because it describes what I look like. Ready? Here we go. I'm a little teapot, short and stout. Here is my handle, here is my spout. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
In 2020, the telethon moved back to Channel 2 for Saturday night and on WBBZ TV all day Sunday, still welcoming major stars like the Goo Goo Dolls, but never losing focus on the mission to help children. In all, close to $50 million has been raised now for Oshai Children's Hospital and over a dozen children's charities. And in 2022, the 60th annual Variety Kids Telethon will air March 5th and 6th, marking a major milestone in Buffalo broadcast history.
We are the handcrafters of Niagara Chocolates. Handcrafting chocolate is all we do. Here's Chris, inspector of caramel gooiness. Leanne, master of peanut butter butteriness. Joe, checker of coconut toastiness. And Victor, champion toffee cutter. Niagara handcrafted chocolates. We obsess, you indulge.
on sirloin, on filet, on ribeye, and away. A gift certificate in every stocking, a steak under every tree. Oh, oh, oh. And I heard him exclaim as the sleigh up did soar. Merry Christmas to all from Russell's Steaks, Chops, and more. Oh, 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 Merry Christmas, everybody.
It's amazing. I was just telling Bill, who remembers this as a child, because you were in town, remembering the kids pouring all the change into the buckets.
Saving that money and pouring it in there.
Still going on. It's amazing.
I love it.
Yeah. Well, everybody, that's awesome. And we also now need to take a moment to thank our sponsors, because without them, well, a night like this just wouldn't happen. So we want to thank these very, very special people: Beasley Media, Mercury Capital, D-Post, Full Circle Studios, Russell Steaks, Chops, and more,
Buffalo State College, 716 Sound, the Admiral Room, and I don't know what the Buffalo Niagara Film Commission, but...
Sound familiar?
No, I don't know those folks.
We want to thank them all. They've done a great job.
We also want to take a moment to thank all of you for coming tonight and supporting our incredible inductees and the BBA. Now, as Katie said, we rely on members for support, so please, at the back, there's a table when you came in, and there's information there, and there are people there to explain it to you, to join. You can go online if you want. You can go to the website. You can join there. But everybody in this room is going to join tonight, right? So by 8 a.m. tomorrow, please. Don't make me come to your house. Right there, join. We need your support.
And we'd also like to recognize at this time the past presidents of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association, including Don Angelo, Steve Cichon, oh yeah, you can applaud, Marty Biniaz, Dave Gillen, Heidi Raphael, and Steve Reska. And a special thanks to everybody who came in from out of town, including you, Bill. Yeah, you did. Came a long way. He gets the award for the longest distance. We also want to...
Actually, my wife.
Your wife?
Yeah,
oh, that's
she hopped
true.
on a plane. She came from L.A.
We also want to recognize a few other people in the audience tonight. So when we call your name, would you please give us a wave so everybody can see you and you can be recognized? Dr. Catherine Conway Turner, the president of Buffalo State College, and all our friends from the college who are here with us tonight. Tim Clark, right up front, with the Buffalo Niagara Film Commission. Kevin Lovello, who couldn't be here tonight, but has been a major supporter of our initiatives. And the Buffalo History Museum.
Lastly, we'd like to thank Nick Magnini from Sinclair for his help with our education initiatives, and also who ensured that our Hall of Fame ceremony will once again air in the Western New York market. Mark your calendars for Saturday, December 11th at 7 p.m. when the show will air on WUTV Channel 29. We'd also like to congratulate Nick on his retirement and congratulate the new station manager, Tamara Walter. The BBA hopes to continue the great partnership that we have had for years to come. Also, as you're taking photos tonight, please use our hashtag. I don't even know what a hashtag. I think it's a pound sign. Hashtag BBAHOF, Buffalo Broadcasters Association, Hall of Fame 21, as you share them on social media, which I have none.
But we know you all will, so that's awesome.
We begin now with the first of our inductions into this year's Hall of Fame class. Our first award this evening is the Buffalo Bob Smith Award. This award is given to an individual who started a career in the Buffalo market and went on to great fame on a national level. Tonight's honoree is no exception. Heidi Raphael made a lasting mark on Buffalo radio before taking her talents across the country.
We're so happy to have Heidi back in town, and she's done so much with her work and her life as Chief Communications Officer at Beasley Media Group. Heidi has received numerous awards and achieved great success in the industry on a national level. In addition, she continues to make a difference through philanthropic and volunteer activities in a number of professional organizations, all while advancing the communications industry and mentoring future broadcasters. Many thanks, by the way, tonight to Andy, Carl, and Greg at Depots for creating this video highlighting Heidi's achievements.
Heidi's passion for radio began at an early age while growing up in her family home in Cheektowaga, New York. A little girl with a big voice, she began doing the daily middle school announcements at the urging of one of her teachers. Eventually, Heidi went on to volunteer in her high school radio station and entered DECA radio advertising competitions, where she took top honors.
Music was always her focus. Listening to Supertramp endlessly, Breakfast in America, and then Cheap Trick live at Budokan. I think they're burned into my memory.
She was definitely kind of before her time in some of the new wave punk rock music. You know, she definitely was listening to stuff that was before its time.
She's always the hardest working person in the room.
Upon graduating from high school, Heidi pursued a media communications degree from Medaille College and began getting experience her sophomore year as Brian Meyer's very first street reporting intern at WBEN Radio, before going on to work as a paid news intern at WIVB-TV.
Heidi was a talented, enthusiastic, almost to the point of being contagiously enthusiastic, a student who really made a major difference, because remember, she was the first ever street reporting intern.
Once out of college, she made the leap into the broadcasting business, working weekends doing news at WECK, filling in as an afternoon airborne traffic reporter at WGR 55, and serving as part-time production assistant at Jones Intercable. Her big break came when WHTT program director Bill Weston recruited Heidi to work as the morning news sidekick with the legendary Danny Nevereth.
She approached everything with this fearlessness and confidence that I just love. And it was the start of a great friendship and business relationship with Heidi for over 30 years.
In 1989, Heidi fulfilled her dream of working at 97 Rock, running some of the station's biggest events while she was there, including the Buffalo Bills' official Welcome Home Super Bowl rally and the 97 Rock ball drop.
3, 2, 1. There it goes. Happy New Year, everybody.
You know, it was Heidi's idea to do the first Welcome Home rally when the Bills went to the first Super Bowl. The Bills didn't think of it. Heidi thought of it. And we partnered to produce this. All the stations covered it, and it was a monumental, historic event. Remember Scott Norwood appearing on that stage? Unbelievable.
Heidi took and really set the bar, I think, in Buffalo for radio promotions and the various events and stunts. Larry Norton living in a block of ice for like a week, and the ball drop and all those tailgate parties and stadium concerts. Heidi was able to take them to a level that no one else could touch us. And even after she left, in my mind, I was always like, okay, what would Heidi do? How can we make this promotion as big as possible?
From there, the rest is history. After leaving Buffalo to work at WMMS in Cleveland, she was recruited to oversee the marketing efforts at one of the biggest rock stations in America, WRIF-FM in Detroit, owned by Greater Media. She was repeatedly promoted over the years, eventually becoming the Senior Vice President of Corporate Communications on behalf of the entire company, where Heidi spent 20 years until it was sold to Beasley Media Group. In 2017, Heidi joined Beasley, where she currently serves as Chief Communications Officer on behalf of the company's 62 radio stations, digital operations, and esports division.
To say she hit the ground running is an understatement. We are so blessed and thrilled that she is part of our team.
Heidi's received many accolades over the years, including being named Billboard Radio Magazine's Major Market Promotions Director of the Year for her work in Detroit, and being recognized among the most influential women in radio on an annual basis for the past 15 years by Radio Inc. magazine. She's also served on many national industry and local community boards, including her current roles as co-chair of the Library of American Broadcasting Foundation, board member of the Florida Association of Broadcasters, member of the NAB's Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee, and advisory board member of Home-Based Southwest Florida Veterans Initiative. In addition, Heidi spent 7 years as the national spokesperson for the Mentoring and Inspiring Women in Radio Group, as well as serving on the boards of the NAB, the Broadcast Education Association, and Alliance for Women in Media. While living in Buffalo, she was the first female chair and president of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association, served on the board of managers of the Buffalo History Museum, was a Medaille College trustee, co-founded the Buffalo Music Hall of Fame's Musician Medics program, and volunteered on numerous community committees.
Heidi's commitment to Music Medics and the Western New York community is just an example of faith and just, I think, a show of her heart and the way she activates other people to bring forth a vision. It's really inspiring to be any part of and be in proximity of.
Heidi could see the response from not just the kids, especially in the hospital, but the parents. Parents were so thankful.
Always proudly promoting the Queen City, anyone who knows Heidi will tell you Buffalo isn't where she's from, it's who she is.
Right now, words don't describe how proud we are of you. We love you.
Congratulations, lady. You're one of the best. You deserve this. Enjoy it.
On behalf of the company and on behalf of myself personally, congratulations. You rock.
All of the great things that she's done philanthropically in our community have made Western New York a better place.
I'm really proud of what Heidi has accomplished over her years and the brief time that she spent in Buffalo. Made such an impact on me and our station.
You're a credit to our industry, and I'm happy to call you a friend.
Congratulations, Aunt Heidi.
The Buffalo Broadcasters Association is proud to induct Heidi Raphael into the 2021 Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much. I'm so humbled right now. I can't even begin to tell you. Grateful, really, that's the word that comes to mind in this moment as I stand before you all tonight. I'm grateful to everyone who generously took the time out to help me throughout the years of my career. There's no way I'd be here today without them. From Dick Reifenberg and Jim McLaughlin and Brian Meyer to my 97 Rock family who's here with me tonight. I remember walking into Charlie's office and he said, "Do you have any questions for me?" And I said, "Yeah, when do I start?" And he just kind of looked at me. Thank you for hiring me. I'm also very, very grateful to someone who took time out of her schedule to be here with me tonight, who I respect a great deal. She bought Greater Media back in 2017 and welcomed me both into her family and the company's family, for which I'm honored to be a part of, and that's Caroline Beasley. It's a real privilege to be a part of your team and to help you continue your late father, George's legacy. He was an outstanding man. I'm also grateful to my friends who have been with me all these years through thick and thin, some of them traveling as far away as Atlanta. Thank you, Mary Lynn Ryan, and thank you, Nancy Starzinski, coming in from New Jersey. I love all of you so much, more than you'll ever know. And even though I don't see you every day, you're always here, so I can't thank you enough. And I'm also very grateful to my family, to my parents who sacrificed everything for us, my grandmother who taught me anything is possible, and to my brothers and their amazing families who are here with me tonight. I'm so proud to be your sister, and I love you more than life itself. You know, my father came here to this country with a suitcase and a dream. He worked 3 jobs simultaneously and spent nights learning English at the International Institute here in Buffalo before going on to become an American citizen. And he taught us that through humility, hard work, love, and respect, that anything is possible. So I gratefully accept this honor in his memory. Thank you.
Great job. Great job.
Yay. Yay.
Watch the National Desk, America's News, now.
The next award is one of 2 television awards we'll be giving out tonight. It was a chance suggestion that he concentrate on consumer issues that set the tone for Al Vaughters' career path in TV. Since 1994, Al has been the call for action reporter, standing up for the little guy against government red tape and corporate giants. He's known well in the community, one viewers know they can rely on for help.
And the help he provides extends well beyond his career into his personal life and the charities he supports. BBA Hall of Fame member Jackie Walker looks back at Al's incredible career.
There are people out there who make a living cheating others.
If you've got a problem, who you gonna call?
Nobody's giving me any help. That's why I called you.
For consumer problems in Western New York, who's your man?
You think you've been cheated and don't know where to turn? I'm here to help.
For decades in Buffalo and beyond, when you call for action, you call for Al Vaughters. He's made a career out of helping people, complete strangers who need a hand.
I'm just Al, just a blue-collar guy that grew up in the Midwest, trying to do my job as best I can. And when I help people, you know, that's my job. I help people.
Al learned about helping others as he grew up in Dayton, Ohio, one of 5 children. He loved football. His ticket to a full scholarship at Ball State University, where he majored in radio and TV, minored in journalism.
I wanted to be a journalist, be a real journalist, not just a show person, not just an actor, not just a guy on the TV, you know, running off at the mouth.
With that, Al launched his career as a radio newsman at WTLC-FM in Indianapolis, a soul music powerhouse.
Substandard housing affects everyone. On the taxpayer, it puts an added burden because public funds are used to condemn and demolish the buildings.
Al broke into television news at WANE in Fort Wayne, and then made a life-changing move back to his hometown of Dayton, where he met the love of his life, anchor reporter Michelle Smith at WDTN TV.
She just lit up the room. And when she was on the air, when she was telling her stories, you just sit there and at the edge of your seat to hear what she had to tell you and what she had to show you.
It was also at WDTN that Al covered a KKK rally. A newspaper photographer captured the moment that Al stood his ground and smiled defiantly when Klansmen tried their display of hate.
That's one of the reasons I had the smile on my face. I said, these guys are not going to do anything to me while I'm on camera and we're rolling. And after that picture was taken, I looked behind me and my photographer was nowhere to be seen.
By 1982, Al was on to WLNE in Providence, Rhode Island. He and Michelle married and soon had a daughter, Dana, and a son, Mitch. Then it was on to Chicago and WFLD Fox 32. As part of team coverage, Al has his name on 2 Chicago Emmy Awards. Finally, in 1994, Al and Michelle came to WIBB-TV Channel 4 in Buffalo, New York, where they raised their children, and Al pulled on a trench coat and set off around the city answering the call for action.
We give megaphones to folks who have tried everything, have gotten nowhere, nothing, they're ignored. Now you're giving them a megaphone to shout about that problem, and most times it's going to be resolved for the good.
Watch you guys every night.
Al's willingness to get answers for viewers in need has endeared him to Western New York. They've seen Al convince an auto dealer to give a widow a break on lease payments after her husband's death.
Thank you.
You are a lifesaver for me. You are a lifesaver.
And Al helped cut through government red tape to get wheelchair accessibility for a disabled Army vet who had been forced to live in the basement.
I had a broom and I could actually talk to people because down there I was quiet and kept to myself and I was a hermit, but I'm not anymore.
Al's service to others knows no bounds. He's a frequent MC and speaker for community organizations, a board member for the Buffalo Association of Black Journalists, and dearest to his heart, more than 2 decades serving on the board of directors for SABA, a skating program for children and adults with disabilities.
They get them out of wheelchairs, and they put them on these devices, and they go around the ice, you know, like they're pros. How can you beat that? How can you beat that?
He knows where everything is, believe it or not.
Investigative reporter Luke Moretti has shared a cluttered office with Al for almost 20 years.
He really cares about what he's doing. And that's why he spends a lot of time on the phone talking to people. And a lot of times these stories don't even hit the air. He'll solve problems for people, and you'll never see it on the air.
He's the most passionate, the most hardworking, and he really cares about the people that reach out to him. He cares about the community, and he really wants to do right by them.
Allen's Hansford Tom Vaughters has cast a tall and welcome shadow throughout his broadcast career, a career rooted in integrity, compassion, and service to others.
Especially working here at Channel 4. I consider myself, as Lou Gehrig said, one of the luckiest men in the world.
Congratulations, Al Vaughters, on your induction into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Broadcasters Association is proud to induct Al Vaughters into the 2021 class of the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Wow. For a blue-collar guy from Ohio, this is incredible. I'm just completely humbled. First, I want to congratulate the Broadcasters Association on your 25th anniversary. And I want to thank the Broadcasters Association for this award. It's truly an honor joining this prestigious group of journalists, community leaders, entertainers, and broadcasters, some of whom are legends. Thank you to Jackie Walker, who was just inducted into the State Broadcasters Hall of Fame last week. And seeing Jackie's profile, geez, I want to know that guy. And Rich Ursing, our photographer and editor and our assistant chief photographer, who edited that piece, he found some old stories I had long forgotten and then melded all those elements together just as the master craftsman he is. Thanks a lot, Rich. I gotta tell you, when I came to Buffalo from Chicago in 1994, one of the first thoughts of mine was, oh no, not again. I missed the 4 Super Bowls. Just like when I started in Chicago, I just missed the Chicago Bears doing their Super Bowl shuffle. From the start 27 years ago, the Western New York community embraced our family, and I joined a newsroom that was filled with Hall of Famers and future Hall of Famers. Jackie and our co-anchor Don Postles and many others, including chief photographer Mike Mombre, who just lost his dad, Mike Sr., just this week, who was also a member of the Hall of Fame. I also discovered this busy office filled with workers on phones talking serious business and found out they were known as Call for Action, solving consumer problems and performing an invaluable public service, and they're all volunteers. They're a Western New York treasure, and it took a couple of years and a change in station ownership, but we finally got the green light to crank up Call for Action into high gear. Our chief problem solver, Maria Visco, at our table, and she works the phone like a finely tuned instrument. It's been a blessing for me filling the role of the Call for Action reporter. Every story is an education. For the consumer, for the business, or if government is involved, there's usually something that gets corrected, and I always learn something. All those easy pass stories we've done over the years, usually involving the Thruway Authority, we discover a better way for the Thruway Authority to improve its customer service, especially when it comes to hundreds of dollars in undeserved late fees. But the best told story that I ever told at Channel 4 was before Easy Pass. I got a complaint from the town of Orchard Park concerning their sidewalk snowplow. The snowplow's license was about to be suspended because they didn't pay a ticket from the New York Bridge Authority. The ticket cited the snowplow for blowing through the Lincoln Tunnel in New York City without paying the toll. Needless to say, someone misread the picture of the license plate of the real violator. We got the violation removed. Call for action was a blessing when we helped many Buffalo homeowners avoid losing their homes, their life's greatest asset, through property tax foreclosures. In some cases, the city came close to selling a property worth hundreds of thousands of dollars over a few $100s in unpaid user fees. The city of Buffalo has figured out a better way of collecting property taxes and user fees. While my job is often seen as pro-consumer, my objective is fairness, accuracy, and doing the right thing, which can cut both ways. I've learned over the years the customer isn't always right. So when a call for action story comes up, the moral of the story might be a better way for consumers to do business. With so much retail now on the internet, we've all had to tell consumers, we've had occasion where we've had to tell consumers, sorry, you should not have given those gift cards to that guy selling his used car before he takes a job in Germany, or the woman selling the cute puppy on Craigslist that only existed as a picture. Using payment apps such as Zelle or Venmo should only be used for paying friends or family or someone you know. You might have thought you knew that guy selling a cheap Apple computer when you paid him with a cash app, but it's doubtful you will ever see your money or the computer. While consumer reporting may be a blessing, it also comes with an awesome responsibility. One of my very first stories when I got here, or series of stories, involved a Rochester company called VCRX. It was a chain of VCR repair shops that were all over the Rochester area, and almost overnight opened a bunch of stores here in the Buffalo area. VCRX, well, they didn't fix anything. Their technicians told us they knew nothing about fixing VCRs, and call for action was slammed with complaints. The co-owner, well, he was a slick-talking businessman who felt he could slick-talk the call for action reporter. He had just announced the company was about to go public. After our series of stories showing piles of VCRs in storage rooms, some with sales tickets on them, the Attorney General got interested. The VCRX IPO plan just went up in smoke, and the chain soon turned into a series of vacant storefronts. It was a fate that they deserved, but in some cases, just having call for action reporting on the company's consumer complaints can put that business on thin ice. So I'm going to close out with one of the stories that truly brought tears to my eyes. That widow you saw, her husband would only lease a certain model luxury car. He died shortly after signing a 2-year lease, and when his wife tried to cancel it, she couldn't because her name wasn't on the lease. A recently widowed grandmother being held to an expensive lease by a big business, well, you could run promos all day and viewers would drop everything to watch that story. But hours before we would have aired that story, the dealer told us the car maker's leasing arm was pushing the lease, not the dealership. And in the name of humanity, the dealer bought the car back to sell it at a loss just to save a grieving widow from heartbreak. And I had to regain my composure just to tell that story. I want to thank my boss, Lisa Polizzi, for sticking with a storyteller who has outgrown our key demographic. And her boss, our general manager, Brian Kennedy, one of the finest people I've ever had the pleasure and honor to meet. But most of all, I want to thank my wife, Michelle, and our kids, Dana and Mitch, for making the sacrifices over the years that they have so that I could tell these stories to win this award. Thank you very much.
Watch the National Desk, America's News, now.
And up next on the Olympic ski run is Russell Salvatore going for the gold. And they're off. If you win the gold, Russ, where will you be having dinner tonight?
Russell's, of course.
Look at Russ go.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Russ, look out! Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, that ain't nothing.
And the winner is Russ Salvatore for the gold. What do you got to say, Russ?
Be my guest and let us do the rest.
Our third award tonight is the Behind the Scenes Award. Now, there are many who work in broadcasting who we call the unsung heroes. They're the people that the viewers will never know, but we know the critical role they play crafting powerful and inspirational stories.
With 8 Emmys and 19 Edward R. Murrow Awards, Andy DeSantis is a master of photography and creation of those stories. He produces extraordinary quality for his audience, and he teaches others to do the same every chance he gets. Andy's co-worker, Claudine Ewing, tells us more.
Andy DeSantis, the chief photojournalist at WGRZ-TV Channel 2. He is the longest-running chief photojournalist in Buffalo broadcast history. His work tells a story. He has shot and edited thousands of stories, each one with a special touch. Andy did what it took to make a story visual and interesting. His ability to get people, even children, comfortable on camera was often why reporters' stories turned out so well, even if he was inside an operating room. From following a preemie from birth to college, Andy wants detail. His talent shined on feature stories and long-form features, and his love for the Beatles, he shined at putting together the best of. Leave it to Andy to find the emotion that would either make you smile, laugh, or cry.
He has a way with the camera, and he has been able to make fabulous pieces, not only with the shooting, but the editing and bringing in sound.
One of the things about working with Andy DeSantis, you are always going to be treated to great music. Andy loves his rock and roll. One of the stories I remember covering with him was the story about a teenager who had pitched a no-hitter. We waited till partway through the story to surprise the viewer and tell them that it in fact was a girl. We put that together with seconds to spare, and it turned out great because of Andy's abilities. Another time we were doing a story about the weather when we got the phone call that the bike path rapist had been arrested and to get to Cheektowaga immediately. We had worked on that story for years and couldn't believe it.
Andy has traveled all over the world, and it's safe to say he's seen it all. He's covered political leaders from Air Force One to City Hall. Interesting people who stand out. He'd go low to make sure the shot was right, and the Buffalo Bills in the Super Bowl, he was there. And you could always expect to see players huddled up near the chief. Of course, he was in the snowstorms too. So many experiences have not gone unnoticed.
I had several mentors in the beginning, and I had a college professor that told me, try to learn something new every day, whether it's good or bad, because it'll make you a better photographer, photojournalist. So till this day, I try to learn something new every day. I was surrounded by unbelievable reporters, photographers, assignment editors at Channel 2. My entire career, which I wouldn't be here without all those people.
He's been recognized many times. His professional awards continue to add up. He has more than 70, including 8 New York State Emmys, Associated Press Awards, a National Edward R. Murrow Award, NABJ Awards, and he was inducted into the Silver Circle by the National Academy of Arts and Sciences and has won 36 National Press Photographers Awards.
The guy was rock solid.
He did it all while being a family man, a husband, father, and now grandfather. As the industry changed, so did Andy. He oversaw WGRZ's transition through 6 formats, from the days of film to videotape to memory cards. A mentor to those entering the profession, and he is respected by his colleagues.
Andy gave me a lot of opportunities to broaden my horizons, covering the Olympics in Atlanta and covering the Stanley Cup Finals. So we had for a long time a really solid team of photojournalists led by Andy.
Andy absolutely added to the environment here at Channel 2. He has always made everybody feel like home and has always made you feel like you want to stay at Channel 2 and call Channel 2 your home and your family.
And we appreciate and celebrate you, Andy.
This is the icing on the cake for an amazing career.
Andy, you are so well deserving of this award. Congratulations, and thank you for sharing your many talents with us.
You know, if you're lucky in your career, you're blessed by someone who you not only learn from, but inspires you to do better. And that someone in my career has been Andy DeSantis. Congratulations, Chief.
Thank you, Andy, for leading the way.
The Buffalo Broadcasters Association is proud to induct Andy DeSantis into the 2021 class of the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There's a reason why my category is behind the scenes. You'll find out quick enough. And for Mr. Tollner, I feel kind of like Luca Brasi just before he met with Don Corleone. So I want to thank the Buffalo Broadcasters Association and the members who voted for me. And congratulations to my fellow inductees. I'm so proud to be in this class. It doesn't seem possible. I walked into Channel 2 42 years ago as an intern, and I've lasted through 8 owners, 14 news directors, 10 general managers, Jim being the best, of course. You know, I got my education at Buffalo State College, but I also got my education at Channel 2 and on the streets of Buffalo. Jim Willie and Harvey Marshall took a chance and hired me in 1980, but I had several mentors along the way. Nick Bergio was like my work dad, and I had several photographers at the other stations that were like uncles. Mike Mombre, who passed away yesterday, and Rick Swenson from Channel 7. They were always showing me the ropes on the streets, and without them, I wouldn't be here tonight. I was fortunate enough to be raised by a wonderful family. My parents, and I have 3 older siblings. My brother Joe's here tonight. But they were all great role models, and without them, I don't think I'd be here tonight. I grew up in Kenmore, went to Kenmore West. West is best. And I took a filmmaking course with a teacher, Mr. Felges, and he said, you know, you have a good eye, you should pursue a career in journalism, but behind the camera. He goes, you know, I think you'd be good as a photographer. And he was a big inspiration to me. And without him, I don't think I'd be here tonight. 40 years at Channel 2. We had the honor of working with some of the best journalists in the news business. I was always proud of the incredible work by the photojournalists at Channel 2, some of the best in the country. They made my job easy most of the time. When you're surrounded by that much talent in the newsroom, you can only get better every day. Without those people, I wouldn't be here tonight. All the people I was surrounded by at Channel 2, the reporters, the assignment editors, and my buddy Scott Brown, the late Scott Brown, did some of my best work with Scott. He was a perfectionist who drove me crazy half the time, but we turned out some really great work, and without him, I don't think I'd be here tonight. 35 years ago, I was in the right place at the right time, and I met the love of my life, my beautiful wife, Julie. We have 3 lovely daughters, Julianne, Alex, and Nikki, and 2 beautiful granddaughters. Our first grandson will be here in 2 weeks. For the first boy in the family, Waylon Andrew, and we can't wait for the little guy to show up. And without the love and support of my family, I sure as hell wouldn't be here tonight. I've had the privilege of covering some of the best and some of the most heartbreaking stories of our time in this community, with the responsibility of always presenting my work in an interesting and honest way. For the past 41 years, I've had a front row seat to the history of this community, and will always be grateful for Channel 2 for allowing me to bring those stories to our viewers. Again, thanks so much for this incredible honor. Go Bills and go Zooks.
You know, Andy brought up a lot of great memories. There was a time, believe it or not, Bill, when we reporters would go out with the photographer.
Yeah?
I know. Now, these days, things have changed. Everybody's an MMJ, but I know that personally there was no way I could have brought that passion to a picture like the Andy DeSantis and the Ed Rileys and the Scott Browns and the wonderful people who had a vision every time they went out and did a story. We did the words, and they made it come to life. So I miss those days. Those guys and girls really made our stories come to life. All right, everybody, Award 4 is up next. It's a radio award to our own Eileen Buckley. Now, chances, yeah. And me being a radio person, I understand when I say that chances are that when you heard this award-winning reporter long before you saw her, it's because you were listening to her on the radio. In fact, for 34 years, this lovely lady worked in radio. Eileen Buckley has worked as a reporter, a news director, and in production at stations in Buffalo and Albany, winning both national and state awards.
She recently made the switch to television, where she's sharing her talents with WKBW. And we just mentioned broadcasters who are willing to give of themselves to help the next generation. Eileen is the perfect example. In fact, she's previously been recognized by the BBA for the time she spends volunteering as a mentor to students. Let's look together at Eileen's career.
WKBW Radio Music! Listen to KB, I listen every night.
When I was a little girl at home, I always had a transistor radio, KB radio, of course, for the music, and then I would hear the announcers, and then I would hear the newsmen, and I just thought those newscasts were so powerful.
88.7 FM, WBFO, 24 minutes past the hour.
BFO gave me my first small part-time job on air. I did a weekend shift where I did some local news.
But that was only the beginning for a young Eileen Galbo.
Good morning. WECK News Time is 10:06. I'm Eileen Galbo. Cheektowaga police say a suspect was shot.
Oh my goodness, my early days of radio broadcasting. I remember my dad was kind of disappointed that when I married, I changed my name from Galbo to Buckley on the air because he was really proud that I was in broadcasting.
Top story this hour, Cheektowaga police shot and killed a suspect overnight. Next news at 11, I'm Eileen Galbo for WEC Radio News, and now back to Bob Coburnus and Information Mornings on WECK.
News directors, and I won't mention the name or the radio station, said to me when I got out of college and I was applying for radio jobs, said, honey, you need to smoke some cigars and have some bourbon and get your voice down very deep, and then we'll consider you for a possible broadcast job. It made me angry. At the time, I didn't realize how chauvinistic that was, but it made me angry, and it made me want to work harder to be in the field.
And work in the field she did. Eileen worked in 10 radio newsrooms in Buffalo and Albany during a 34-year career as a radio journalist and anchor.
And now, news from Western New York's #1 radio station, WBEN Buffalo.
There was a disturbance at the State Wendy Medium Correctional Facility in Alden tonight.
She covered major breaking stories, the Buffalo Park scandal and trial of then Parks Commissioner Bob Delano, the Spring of Life anti-abortion protests in 1992, countless snowstorms from the Buffalo Streets garage, politics and election nights. Eileen was in the thick of it, even with a sometimes feisty former mayor of Buffalo.
Sociologist said she might be a candidate. I don't know.
Your brother said yesterday, you never know, he might support Massiello. He taught him in high school, he coached him. What do you think of that?
Oh, yeah. My brother Tom speaks with the fourth tongue.
She reported live on NPR and Fox News following the arrest of the alleged Lackawanna 6 terrorist cell.
Joining us now, NPR radio reporter Eileen Buckley, who's based in Buffalo and has been on the story since it broke.
Well, John, most people say that they were told that the group went to learn prayer, Islamic prayer, and as one of the attorneys explained in court yesterday, that they were duped into heading to the Al-Qaeda training camp.
No matter the time, the place, she was always there to cover the story. The most famous story being the crash of Flight 3407 in Clarence.
What we've heard from witnesses is the flames could be seen for miles, that they saw this, red sky light up after they heard the sounds of the explosion when the plane actually crashed into the home.
There are a lot of reporters out there that work hard. I don't think Eileen's work ethic really can be matched. Doing it in different ways, in different beats, in different types of stories, really just cranking things out.
Her specialty, education stories, just talking with the kids.
But I was talking to students, and I want, again, to get those voices on the airwaves.
Eileen's work has not gone unrecognized. She has won numerous Associated Press and NPR awards. First place awards from the New York State Broadcasters Association for Breaking News, Best Feature, Spot News, Best Documentary, and Use of Sound. Eileen is a 9-time recipient of the prestigious Art Athens Award for General Excellence in Individual Reporting from the New York State Associated Press Broadcasters Association.
Eileen won the Individual Reporting Award more than any other reporter in New York State for so many years running. I doubt that's going to be broken. I think Eileen is going to hold that record in perpetuity.
The Supreme Court is allowing evictions to resume across the United States.
Awards or not, Eileen says her mother, Patricia, would be very proud of her.
My mom would be so proud. She told me when I was younger in school I used to really struggle. And she used to tell me, honey, just keep your head up high and everyone will wonder what you're doing. And I've kept that with me my whole life and my whole career because it always hasn't been easy. I didn't always have people to help me. And I held my head up high. And I think that's why I'm here now at this point in my career. And I thank her for giving me that important advice at a young age. And I know she's proud and I know she's looking down on me.
From 7 Broadcast Plaza, this is 7 Eyewitness News.
In 2019, Eileen made the jump to TV and 7 Eyewitness News.
These nearly 3,000 flags represent the lives lost on that tragic day.
This new TV career also led her to reconnect with her high school teacher, Sister Karen Marie Volz from Holy Angels Academy.
Trust me, she hasn't grown since. She's as short as she was then.
Height issues aside, she's become Eileen's biggest fan.
When I view her stories and see the topics, see the people, I say to her that the finished product is like a patchwork quilt that she weaves and places all of her stories, her questions, the responses as beautifully as a patchwork quilt.
The Buffalo Broadcasters Association is proud to induct Eileen Buckley into the 2021 class of the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Thank you so much. It's very overwhelming. It's always fun to watch yourself. It reminds me of Back to the Future Part 2, when the character saw herself and she looked at the other character and said, "Oh, I'm old." That's the way I truly felt. I want to thank my husband, Mark, for writing and producing the story and sharing his talents. He still has it from television, I'll tell you. And Rob Nevis from Channel 7, one of our great photographers, for editing. Thank you for working with us on that. I asked Sandy Kozel to voice the story because in my early days as a WGR intern, I always looked up to Sandy and admired her radio work and her voice.
And at the time in the newsroom, it was filled with great veterans like Don Duke Dusias and Jane Tomczak and Larry Hatsey, just to name a few. They were such great radio role models for me at the time. It's an extreme honor to receive this prestigious award from the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. It's so wonderful that this association recognizes and celebrates the work that we all do. It really is appreciated from me. To the other award winners tonight, Andy, Mike, Al, Mickey, Charlie, and my dear friend Heidi, congratulations. It's even more of an honor to be in this Hall of Fame class with such incredibly talented people. I'm so honored. 40 years ago, Heidi and I walked through the doors of Medaille College as freshmen, not knowing each other, but formed an instant friendship. Heidi, I couldn't be more proud of your work that you've accomplished in the national broadcast front. Congratulations to you. I was very fortunate to begin in my media journey that started in college with internships and then a first job with some of the great radio men and women in our market. I had a chance to work with Ralph Hubble at WEC. He was doing an evening Hub of Sports show. Ralph never mentored me or taught me broadcasting, but he provided a friendship as if I was his equal. He even called me Eileen the Queen. He introduced me to all of his friends that he would bring in, like comedian Foster Brooks, who probably at this point in the climate we're in today would not be able to get away with what he said to me when Ralph introduced him to me. He basically said, you know, this is Eileen, our anchor and reporter, and Brooks just looked at me and said, oh, and now news from abroad. I worked with Barbara Burns first at WGR and then later competing against her in the field when she was at WBEN and I was at BFO. We formed a great bond in the field. We spent a lot of time chasing down stories and becoming good friends. And we had a lot of laughs too. The best was when, and Barb's gonna kill me for this, she had a slight crush on former Sabres goalie Ryan Miller during the height of the team's success. Barb and I found ourselves in the locker room conducting interviews, and Barb was standing right next to him, and she was facing out looking at me, and we both had our microphones, and Barb had this big smile on her face, and she was smiling back at me. And so I looked at Barb, and I started winking at Barb, only to realize that Ryan Miller was looking at me, and I think he thought I was winking at him. It's really Barb's secret crush. The best part about covering many stories through the years is connecting with this community. I was born and raised right here in Buffalo, and I could not be prouder of this city. It has been a privilege to interview newsmakers and politicians. I've had a chance to cover 6 governors, 3 mayors, and 5 Erie County executives. Many community members as well, educators and children, all to tell a variety of stories. And working in public radio at WBFO for many of those radio years really allowed me to learn how to tell a story and create the art of storytelling. I never really had any mentors in my career other than my mom, so mostly I learned by observing and listening. And there were times early on that some people told me, you will never make it in this business. I have to say to those tonight, thanks so much, because you really inspired me to work even harder. It was... It was my perseverance and my faith that I learned from great teachers at Holy Angels Academy, like Sister Karen Marie, who is here tonight, and I'm so thrilled you can be with us. It's been an incredible experience to have a chance to work with the generation that came before me in the business, broadcasters of my generation, and now a new generation. I have participated in the Broadcasters Mentoring Program, and it's wonderful to see so many of those students now in their own media careers. It's just amazing. It wasn't the easiest transition leaving radio and moving into TV, and I really want to thank the entire Channel 7 team. They've accepted me into their news family now for almost about 3 years, and they've shown me nothing but respect and support, and it's truly been a really pleasure working with all of you, because video did kill the radio star, truly. One of the constants throughout my entire career and more than these 3 decades in the business has been with me since it all started when I started as an internship is my husband, Mark. He's been my broadcast rock, supporting me in all the ups and downs, the good decisions, the bad decisions, my mistakes on air and off air, you know, the celebrations, the station changes I've gone through. I've missed a lot of dinners and a lot of time with him, and he's put up with it all, only just to encourage me to stick with it. Mark, I love you and thank you for everything. He surprised me tonight. He made us detour before we came down here, and he drove to my old North Buffalo neighborhood on Hurdle at the North Park Theater. He has my name and my congratulations on the marquee, so it's very special. Again, I just want to thank the Buffalo broadcasters. Congratulations on your 25th anniversary celebration. And to all of you here tonight, thank you for helping us celebrate. Thank you.
Congratulations, Eileen. Right now, we have a special treat for you. You've probably seen our next guest on NBC's The Voice, where she shared her musical talents with the world. Tonight, she's sharing them with us. Please welcome Buffalo native Cammie Clooney for a special performance.
Running out of time before I even get to take a sip of my wine. At the same time, it seems like yesterday was graduation day, and now I cannot seem to shut off my mind. Everybody's telling me I'm fine, but that's like telling someone they can see when they're blind. And every time I open up my eyes, I can't keep blurring pretty lines between the truth and my reality lies. I feel like my years have gone by, and all of my tears have gone dry. Feeling old at 20. Isn't this the prime time for life? I don't got that money. I'm just sipping all the drinks tonight, wasting time at 20. Got no plans and nowhere to hide. Generation unlucky. 21, please make it all alright. All alright. I try to keep a smile, shit no one sees. It's kinda hard when living in a world made out of fear. Everybody said it would get better, but for me it's now or never. I don't wanna spend forever in here. I feel like my years have gone by, and all of my tears have gone dry. Feeling old at 20. Isn't this the prime time for life? I don't got that money. I'm just sipping all the drinks tonight, wasting time at 20. Got no plans and nowhere to hide. Generation unlucky. 21, please make it all alright. All alright. Lately I can't find no peace of mind. We lost some time and now we'll never get it back. I hope we'll find a way to live before we die. Just you and I. Feeling old at 20. Isn't this the prime time for life? I don't got that money. I'm just sipping all the drinks tonight, wasting time at 20. Got no plans and nowhere to hide. DeRosa, Rod Bonner, and GC Castillo. Thank you for having us.
'Tis the season of Christmas, and all through the place, the elves are all busy preparing the steaks. The stockings are filled with our very best wine, and even gift certificates to come in and dine. So to all of our guests that we do so adore, Merry Christmas to all from Russell's Steaks, Chops, and More.
The National Desk. Important investigative journalism.
Essentially turn this gas can into a flamethrower.
Choose America's News. Each weekday morning from the National Desk.
Weekday mornings at 7 on Fox 29.
Well, everybody, tonight we also want to acknowledge one organization that has been a great partner to the Buffalo broadcasters over the past 2 years, the relationship we've developed with SUNY Buffalo State College. They've helped our organization grow tremendously.
The BBA helps teach 2 classes at the school, one broadcasting based, the other one production. It's a win-win for both the organization and the students. We want to bring up BBA Chairman of the Board, Steve Reska, to tell us more about this partnership. Steve?
Okay, we'll make this quick. Collaboration. It's the foundation for success. The Buffalo Broadcasters Association has several outstanding partners as we preserve the history of broadcasting in Western New York. But the other part of our mission, the part that many people forget, is that our job is to also help prepare the next generation of broadcasters. And in that area, we found a tremendous collaborative partner, the State University College at Buffalo, Buff State. A few years ago, several of us met with Dr. Deb Silverman. Members of the Buff State Communications Department were there, and we discussed on how we might collaborate. None of us ever realized how big this would become. Thanks to their backing and the support of Buff State President Dr. Catherine Conway Turner, we've worked together to create the only program of its kind in the United States. Together, we're producing a weekly 30-minute television show that airs on a commercial television station, WNYO. The college created 2 classes, one in broadcast journalism, one in production, specifically to produce these shows. Now, whether it's members, BBA members like Don Yerke, he goes there and he shares his wisdom about how to frame a shot on camera, or former CNN national correspondent Susan Candiotti on a Zoom call with the broadcast journalist class, and they're discussing interview strategies. BBA members all are passing along their tremendous experience to the next generation. So tonight we honor Buff State and thank them for allowing us to assist the training of the next generation of broadcasters. Ladies and gentlemen, Buff State President Catherine Conway Turner and Dr. Deb Silverman.
Well, it's really a pleasure to be involved in this collaboration. Buffalo State is all about engagement for our students, and we can only do it through strong collaborations with partners. And so when BBA came to us to talk about this strong collaboration, we were so excited for it. In this room, we have so many alums, we have faculty, we have friends of the college, we even have some of our students. And all those people together come together to help our students hone their skills to be the next generation that one of these days will be in the Hall of Fame. So it's so exciting to be a part of this collaboration, and I'll turn it over to Deb.
Thank you, Dr. Conway Turner. I have to tell you, I love broadcasting going back to my own high school years when I anchored a radio show for 2 years on WDOE in Dunkirk. Then I went to Fredonia State, and I worked at the student radio station where I met my husband, Ed, who's out there. He still works in broadcasting. He's been at Channel 2 since 1981. Then I went on to graduate school at UB, and I spent 2 summers of my life in the newsrooms at Channel 7 and Channel 2, working with people like Irv Weinstein, Don Postal, Susan Banks, Nancy Sanders, all names that are probably very familiar to you. That's just on the unpaid side. Then I went on, and I worked in radio at WBUZ in Fredonia. I worked as a cable TV host for a very short time. And then I worked at the old WEBR AM as a radio news writer. And what I'm telling you there, the reason I'm telling you that is I learned so much from those experiences in broadcasting that helped me with my career in public relations. I learned how to write clearly and concisely in only a minute or two. And that's especially useful when you're writing website copy or news releases or speeches. I learned about sound bites, the importance of media relations, and even a little bit about public speaking. And those broadcasting skills are transferable to a wide variety of communication careers, and that's why I wanted Buffalo State's communication students to take part in programs like this one. And our communication department has a long history in broadcasting. We used to be known as the Journalism Broadcasting Speech Department before our name was changed. And many of our alumni have gone on to careers in broadcasting here in Buffalo and elsewhere, including Tom Calderon, who is president of Buffalo Toronto Public Media, Claudine Ewing, who's here tonight. You already saw Andy DeSantis, and many others. So, congratulations to all of them. So when Steve Ruska and Steve Monaco came to me with the idea for Broadcasting Buffalo, and I pitched it to our faculty, we said yes. The series involved a lot of planning and coordination with our faculty, Rick Carnath and Ellen Notarius, who couldn't be here tonight. Rick taught our advanced multi-camera studio production course, and Ellen taught electronic news producing. We had to schedule both courses at the same time so that the students could meet together to plan the show. Taping the shows during the pandemic was quite a challenge. We did observe all COVID protocols that were being used by the local TV stations, and since I have my resident in-house expert, Ed, who worked at Channel 2 throughout the pandemic in-house, he provided a lot of guidance in that area. And finally, I'd like to thank a lot of people for their support of the project, starting with President Conway Turner, our Provost James Mayrose, our Arts and Sciences Dean, Dr. Brian Kronk, who's here tonight, Journalism Professor Anne-Marie Franzik, who's on the BBA board, our media production full-time faculty members, Meg Knowles, Ruth Goldman, and Dorothea Bramer, and especially Professors Ellen Notarius and Rick Carnath. And above all, our students, they made it all happen. And a special shout out to the Buffalo broadcasters for all the volunteers who came into our class, and especially wherever Steve Monaco is, hi. He's on speed dial. Steve has amazing energy, and it's been an absolute delight working with everyone at BBA, and we're looking forward to it again next spring, so stay tuned. Thanks so much.
All right, everybody. Working with students and helping further the next generation of broadcasters is part of the BBA's mission. In fact, every year we award one student with a scholarship in the name of one of Buffalo's most famous broadcasters, Tim Russert. The Tim Russert Media Career Award is a $1,000 scholarship awarded each year to a student interested in a career in journalism and broadcasting. And this year we have two recipients. So I'd like to invite BBA board member Anne-Marie Franzik to come to the stage for the presentation of these scholarships.
Good evening. The 2020 Russert Award
goes
to Patrick Ryan.
Can't hear her.
Patrick is a Hamburg resident and a digital producer for WIVB News 4 Buffalo. It's a job that he landed in 2020 after graduating from Fredonia State, where he studied journalism and politics. He also did some work with Town Square Media and Spectrum News, and he was a mentee with the BBA Mentorship Program. Congratulations, Patrick. The 2021 Russert Award goes to Joanna Lehman. Joanna is a senior media production major at Buffalo State, where she is a straight A student. She's also very involved with BSC TV, the campus television club, and WBNY, the campus radio station. She also is a drone pilot. She recently concluded some intensive instruction and earned her FAA license in drone operation. She also finds time to volunteer in her community including shooting and editing weekly services for her church, Christ Chapel Wesleyan Church in Silver Creek. Congratulations, Joanna. And we are very excited to have Paul Cambria here to make a special presentation to the winners.
I'm not used to this public speaking. I'll do what I can here. Joanna, it's a great pleasure of mine. Where'd you go? There you are. To present this to you. It's a check for $1,000. And thank you very much. They have these at John Beard height. It should be Don Paul height, right? And Patrick Ryan, again, my pleasure. Wish you success. Congratulations. Got it.
Don't get hooked.
I know. Got to thank Paul Cambria. He always comes, ready to give. He's amazing. He's ready to take, too, when it comes to the telethon. So. All right.
We're lucky to have such an enthusiastic class of young broadcasters in this market. The Buffalo Broadcasters Association works to develop relationships with students and young professionals and to connect them with those already in the business who are willing to give of their time to help the next in line.
And if you're one of the people who took time from your schedule over the past 2 years to connect with students in person or virtually, thank you so much for that effort. It means so much to our organization and to the students that you're willing to give of yourself to help those to come. So thank you for that.
Along with the mission to work with broadcasting students, the BBA is also dedicated to preserving Buffalo broadcasting history. The archive video each station possesses is a living record of what has happened in Western New York, and a lot has happened in Western New York. Founding BBA board member and Hall of Famer Rich Newberger has been dedicated to the BBA's archive project from the beginning. He couldn't be here tonight because his son is getting married, but he and Tom Vetter worked together to create this special feature on BBA's archive project. Here you'll learn how it came together, from the rescuers who went dumpster diving to the architects who are now saving history. Check it out.
The journey has begun to rescue Buffalo's history on news film and videotape.
It's the journalists, it's the reporters and photographers who basically gave their communities the first draft of history.
People can go back and see what happened in Buffalo firsthand.
Today, the Buffalo Broadcasters Association officially launching its archive project.
There are some great clips on the film and videotape that we have here in the archives. Everything from Bethlehem Steel shutting down, the original film and video of the blizzard of '77.
And such a force that none of us have ever experienced.
My parents will talk about the blizzard of '77. And I know the stories of the blizzard of '77, but I wasn't there for that.
January 28th, 1977. The worst blizzard Buffalo has seen this century blew in shortly before noon that Friday.
So when I can go back and see that video, it helps paint the picture for me, and I think that's what we want to be able to do for people in this generation and future generations.
So this is not just, you and me at home, but this is also researchers. This is documentary makers. This is schools, so that it can be an aid to help them teach the future generations.
The fact that our moving image history, captured on Buffalo TV news film and videotape, has survived this long is a testament to those including Herb Fleming, one of the BBA's founding board members, who knew the value of this precious link to our past and the lessons we can learn by actually watching our history unfold.
But history is more than names, dates, and places. And that's just a skeleton, and you got to put flesh on it.
Scream and holler and be heard.
And now hearing and seeing the people who made these things happen, you know, give it life.
For more than 50 years, the news film holding those early life-giving images has survived many moves, from the TV stations to the Buffalo and Erie County Historical Society to Canisius College, and then to basements and sub-basements and warehouses.
We had to go through rat droppings in order to get to the film.
Dave Gillen was BBA president here in 2009, and he knew what had to be done.
We need to take it and, get it so that people can see it, put it into a format where people will be able to look at it.
3 years earlier, a BBA meeting had been held with Buffalo television executives. They learned of the archive project's potential from one of the nation's preeminent moving image archivists.
The Buffalo broadcasters are leading a collaboration here in Buffalo that is really going to make a difference nationally.
You're watching WIVB TV, proudly.
In 2007, WIVB TV, Channel 4, became the first station to sign a licensing agreement with the Buffalo Broadcasters Association.
We are the video archive. We're the video memory keepers. Nobody else has that. And if we don't do something about it, it's lost.
In 2009, museum and library specialists from around the country learned about the project and Buffalo's place in broadcast history.
Actually, one of the most important media centers in the country of the evolution of television news.
WKBW TV, Channel 7, came on board with an agreement in 2018. To make sure the images on the sometimes brittle film and videotape are not lost forever, the BBA sends selected material to experts who know how to handle it and convert it to digital formats. It is a race against time, especially when it comes to the old 3/4-inch videotapes.
Shelf life is about 30 years, so we're past that deadline with a lot of these tapes. Our next big step is to secure as many grant funds as we can to digitize and preserve this material. Additionally, we hope to partner with local institutions to help us get the word out that we have this collection.
The people in Buffalo are genuine. The history is captivating, and there is a passion to preserve that history for all time and all future generations.
A time when Buffalo was bested by a blizzard.
The Buffalo Broadcasters Archive Project got the attention of the nation's top moving image archivists in 2019, who saw how the BBA's archival postings are now featured on the New York Heritage website. Heidi Zemer helped launch the BBA's Archive Project.
This is our first television, film, and video collection in New York Heritage. So each contributing organization in New York Heritage has its own landing page that tells the history, the background of the organization itself.
A newly revamped Buffalo Broadcasters Association website has begun posting what promises to be one of the leading regional projects of its kind in the country as new partnerships develop to make it happen.
And we really want to do it. The heart is there. The love for the community is there. The history is there. So, yes, collaborating with many different places is going to be a key part to getting this project done.
As we pointed out when the Archive Project first got underway, for more than a century, moving images have told the story of Buffalo, from its greatest moments in history to its greatest people, to the way we have lived and worked and contributed to the nation in so many ways. Buffalo set a standard for the nation during the early years of television news, and now, with the help of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association, will set a new standard for preserving that history for all generations to come.
We've got a lot of history in this town, Bill.
We sure do, and we're part of it.
We're part of it, yeah. And how nice that we have so many people who are dedicated to making sure our future generations can see all this. It's just wonderful. And also, it was mentioned earlier in the evening, but we do want to mention that we've recently learned that another wonderful, talented Western New Yorker who shot so many images for us, Mike Mombre Sr., passed away this week. We just would like to let you know if you'd like to say a prayer for Mike and his wonderful family. He's done so much to adding to the visual images that we have come to expect from Mike and Mike Jr. all these years. Now, as we look back and honor the history of Western New York, we also honor those who played a role within it. Each year we pause to remember the broadcasters who have left us, like Mike Mombre, but not after making an everlasting impact in our industry and our lives. Because we weren't able to be together last year, tonight we're going to be looking back over the last 2 years. So we have a special musical presentation for you as we remember those who came before. Please welcome Vinnie DeRosa.
Remember me, though I have to say goodbye. Remember me, don't let it make you cry. For even if I'm far away, I hold you in my heart. I sing a secret song to you each night we are apart. Remember me, though I have to travel far. Remember me, each time you hear a sad guitar. Know that I'm with you the only way that I can be, until you're in my arms again. Remember me, remember me, recuérdame.
National Desk, important investigative journalism.
Essentially turn this gas can into a flamethrower.
Choose America's News, each weekday morning from the National Desk.
Weekday mornings at 7 on Fox 29.
We understand your journey. Visit glisswny.org for more.
Watch the National Desk, America's News, now.
Our next award is the Innovation Award. And we're very happy to tell you about this wonderful couple who meant so much to TV, maybe way back in your memory.
This award goes to a Buffalo broadcaster whose contribution left a lasting impression on the industry.
Bob and Ellen Knechtels were masters at creating sets and designing puppets and voicing characters for their stories. They were artists whose work was displayed on the television screen to the delight of children and adults. Their work is the very definition of innovation, and board member Pat Feldball takes us behind the scenes of their magical world.
Kids who grew up in the 1950s and 60s will no doubt remember the magical, whimsical TV programs created by puppeteers Bob and Ellen Knechtel that aired on WBEN TV. Bob Knechtel loved sculpture, and seeing a performance by the Buffalo Historical Marionettes as an 8-year-old would later inspire a career and the creation of the iconic marionette family seen on Channel 4. Bob's work also included the design of holiday window displays for the Hengera department store downtown and the creation of images for Madame Tussauds Wax Museum that were displayed around the world. Ellen Knechtel was a talented singer, a lover of opera, a voice talent in advertising, and the designer of small stages and scenery used on the program.
My parents met in an operetta company, and they performed, and my father played the guy who didn't get the girl in the play, and in real life he got the girl. So that's what all of their engagement announcements say. They met, and they loved operettas and opera. And then someone who was in the company suggested that they audition for a children's show, that there was a new need for television shows in Buffalo. So they went to Channel 4 and they auditioned at the old Statler Hotel, and they got the job. And the first show that they did was called Storybook Land, and that was with Benny the Bookworm and Dolly Dresden, who we still have. And they would take kids through different books and talk about how, you know, the stories of different books. So every episode was a different book that they'd cover.
Bob and Ellen's children, Nancy and Bob, made up the rest of the team.
They're a very talented family. There's Bob and Ellen, and then the children, Nancy and Bobby, and we're real pioneers in early Buffalo broadcasting. And I remember when they first came aboard in the late 1950s, and I was much impressed with the children. You know, Nancy, 11 years old, and Bobby, 8 or 9 years. They were TV stars. They had their own television show. I did watch the show. I was really fascinated by these little characters. That they usually left us with a positive message. Yeah. Just one talented family. I'm very impressed.
Everything was live then. There was no tape, no film at the time. They had programs for about 20 years. And they made their own marionettes and their own puppets. They made their own sets. They were very nice people. And they had a very big audience on TV at the time. I think they belong in the Hall of Fame because of their great talent and for all they've offered to the TV audience in this area. I wish them the very best, and they were very good friends, and we're going to miss them.
As one of WBEN's early color TV programs, it could take hours to get the colors right, not just for color TV, but for black and white TV as well. And the Knechtels performed to a pre-recorded voice track that eliminated the noisy manipulation of the puppets, while the dialogue of the show was noise-free.
We would perform on videotape. We would do the vocals, the voices separately, kind of like an old radio show. So we would do the script, and then the next week would actually work with the puppets so that we could talk while we were working the puppets. We could, my father could say, move him to the left, and it wouldn't be over the air because they had the sound already recorded. So it was clever because, you know, he did give directions. And I do remember once my hand showed in the Paper People show, and the producers came out and kind of let me have it. You know, you're a professional, your hand showed. And my parents were like, give her a break, it's just a hand. You know, they were very like, come on, she's a kid.
One of the biggest names in the puppet cast was that of Buttons the Cabin Boy, who appeared with Captain Mike Marion.
The story is that Mike Marion wanted Buttons the Cabin Boy. And my dad talked with him about who it would be, and they decided. My brother was, I think, 3 or 4 years old, and had a lot of clothes that he wasn't fitting anymore, so they decided to make him that size so they could use Bob's old clothes. And then my mother volunteered to work buttons. And we have a wonderful picture that I might have sent you that Mike signed to my mom. And to my mom, love buttons. So there was a nice relationship with her working the puppet.
While Bob and Ellen are now gone, their legacy lives on in archival video, the marionettes that still exist, and the memories of all the children entertained and enlightened by the passion, the vision, and the artistry of Bob and Ellen Knechtel.
Such a talented family, and the children were so impressive, and I think it's about time, it's a long time, that they finally honored it into the Hall of Fame. It's long overdue.
I'm so honored because they loved what they did. They worked very hard at what they did, and they did it for the end product. They never did it to be on television. They just loved creating the marionettes and putting together a show that they thought children would understand. And it's just so wonderful after all these years that people are remembering their talent. I'm so honored.
It's with great pleasure that the Buffalo Broadcasters Association presents Bob and Ellen Knechtel with the Innovation Hall of Fame Award for 2021. The Buffalo Broadcasters Association is proud to induct Bob and Ellen Knechtel into the 2021 class of the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Who is that guy? Why can't we get away from him? Anyway, good evening, everybody. I'm Pat Feldball. I don't really resemble the Knechtels, but Nancy's a friend of mine. Got to meet her at Niagara County Community College years ago, and I realized who she was. You're a Knechtel? Oh my gosh. And she told me all about her family, and we've been working for a long time to get the Knechtels into the Hall of Fame. They're finally here. So feel free to applaud for them at any time. As I was working on this presentation, a thought came to me, a phrase that was, life is what happens when you're busy making plans. And I know that my life was like that, and I have to think that Bob and Ellen may have had the same kind of realization. They're two people who loved music. They had vocal, design, and creative writing skills. They loved puppetry and sculpture. Now you put those talents together and you think, yeah, I've got a career here. I don't think they were thinking about that plan, but the storm came, the perfect storm, brought all those talents together that would take them to a successful over 2-decade career in early Buffalo TV. Applying all those skills, entertaining and influencing thousands of children and adults, as well as the technology of TV itself, who would have thunk? Who would have thunk this could happen? I am one of the kids of a certain age who remember them, and I'm sure there are many of you here who also remember Benny the Bookworm and Buttons the Cabin Boy. And it's a great honor for me to accept this award on behalf of Bob and Ellen and their kids, Nancy and Bob Knechtel, who can't be here tonight to do it themselves. The Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame Innovation Award for 2021. And because I'm such a good extemporaneous speaker, I want to say that life did intervene while I was making plans for this, and one of our testimonial people on our video, Mike Mombre, Sr., passed away this week very suddenly, and he was a great guy, a very vibrant guy. And to the Mombre family, on behalf of the Buffalo Broadcasters, we extend our deepest condolences. Good night.
Congratulations to the Knechtels. Good job. Good job, Pat.
Our next award is the ANSCOMBE Award, which is presented to a broadcaster who made a lasting impression in a management position. Our next inductee has a history of turning an idea into a successful reality. And all of us in this room have a reason to thank him.
And that's because he's part of the reason we've been able to listen to years and years of Bills and Sabres radio broadcasts. And where would Buffalo be without our favorite sports teams? As the operator and owner of stations across the country, Charlie Banta advanced talk show radio during his career, achieved radio broadcast rights for sporting events, and re-engineered FM radio to popular rock formats. His managerial success makes him most worthy of the ANSCOMBE Award. And former BBA board member Jim Safey shows us why.
A Buffalo native, Charlie has had a national media career in a variety of media businesses, including owning and operating 56 radio stations, spanning the map of North America in 20 different markets. Charlie's first tour of duty in Buffalo was in 1988, working for the Rich family to resurrect the heritage 97 Rock format on WGR-FM and rebuild WGR-AM as a dominant news talk sports station. Charlie brought in radio consultant Fred Jacobs.
It was really a local love affair with a community and a radio station, and Charlie understood that from the get-go.
We launched 97 Rock, and soon after that, a friend of David Rich's came to town named Charlie Banta, who was out in California running a group of radio stations. Charlie is one of two people that had the most impact on me in the business. Charlie was really opened my eyes to what a great radio station could be.
Meanwhile, at WGR-AM, Charlie worked with legendary Hall of Fame play-by-play announcers Van Vandemonium Miller and John Murphy for the Bills, Rick Top Shelf where Mama hides the cookies Generette, and Danny Gare for the Sabres, and Hall of Famer Pete Weber for the Bisons.
He recruited me as general sales manager. Within a year of that time, we were able to capture the radio broadcast rights for both the Buffalo Sabres and the Buffalo Bills, and we were able to increase the spot revenue billing by about 35%.
Well, not just an eye on the bottom line with Charlie Banta. He kept an eye on the right way to do things and the best way to do things, and for that, he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Then Charlie ran Greater Media, the 10th largest radio group in the U.S. at the time, bringing Howard Stern to KLSX-FM in Los Angeles. The KLSX-FM morning show went from number 24 to number 1 in 12 months. But the really dramatic moment and one of the most fulfilling experiences in Charlie's career was in 1994, his second tour of duty in Buffalo, when he formed Mercury to acquire WGRF-FM, WUFX-FM from the Rich family, and later WHTT-AM and FM from Pyramid Broadcasting, and finally WHLD-AM from Butler Communications.
The Riches did not get a Major League Baseball franchise and therefore decided to sell their radio station. I couldn't reveal to the team who was coming. Now, at the time, there was a very popular movie out called Tombstone, which we were all big fans of, and the slogan for that movie was "Justice is coming." And I kept saying to everybody, while I couldn't reveal who it was, that justice is coming. And then finally, when Charlie closed on the stations and arrived, I introduced him to the team as Justice.
WUFX-FM was transformed into WEDG-FM, 103.3 The Edge, the first successful alternative rock station in the U.S., anchored by the newly minted morning show Shred and Reagan, winning Rolling Stone magazine's 1996 Readers' Poll as one of the top 5 radio stations in the U.S.
When I worked for Jacobs Media out of Detroit, one of my missions was to create and launch a bunch of alternative rock stations around the country. Charlie's vision to what the station should be and how it should be presented was so in line with the future of broadcasting and certainly the future of entertainment. One day we had an Edge meeting. We were about 3 months on the air, and Charlie came in to the room, and you could definitely tell something was on his mind. And he just stops and goes, "Can I just say one thing?" I'm like, "Of course, Charlie, you know. There's better songs on the 9 Inch Nails record than what we're playing." And everybody just stopped and said, "What?"
Meanwhile, 97 Rock evolved into one of the most successful classic rock stations in the U.S., anchored by longtime popular Hall of Fame morning show host Larry Norton, followed by a roster of unbelievably talented heritage classic rock personalities for the entire day and night.
Hi, Larry Norton here. You might remember me. I used to be on the radio in Buffalo. Thanks in large part to my dear friend, great businessman, great radio, what do you call him? Tycoon? Radio tycoon. I think that's the title. Charlie Banta. Not only very, very instrumental in bringing back 97 Rock, owning 97 Rock, selling 97 Rock, making lots of money, owning other radio stations, and just being an all-around incredible guy. who loves radio, loves Buffalo.
WHTT-FM Oldies 104 was rebuilt, anchored by the legendary Hall of Fame Danny Neverett, followed by the late, great Tom Shannon, Tom Donahue, and a long list of other famous names. Well, everybody thought he was a stiff in a suit, a stuffed shirt, and as one of the girls said, a pompous. And then we found out he was at Woodstock. Oh, then everything changed.
Charlie wants perfection. He only wanted the best of whatever we did. He brought in the best people. That's how we first brought in Bill Cloutier. Then when he came back in a second time, he saw Sauer was the guy to run this thing, and he wanted the best in sales, the best in programming. We had the best consultants in Morrison and Abraham and the Center for Sales Strategy, and he only wanted the best. And if there's anything we learned from Charlie, it's to strive for perfection.
Despite the suit and tie at work, Charlie was not all work and no play at Mercury. Charlie showed the team he knew how to have fun, too. Charlie wants to make one thing very clear. He did not attend my bachelor party. Yes, CB, right you are, CB.
I was at Carl Russo's stag, but I didn't see Charlie.
Carl Russo stag? What stag?
Meanwhile, the promotions department was headed up by Hall of Fame Heidi, Raphael, and then Tina Chaudhry, both superstars in their own right. The sales effort was turbocharged with what Charlie says is the best sales staff he has ever worked with. Then there was the invention of the Mercury Entertainment Group, focused on innovative off-air revenue driven by concerts, financial fairs, programs, bridal fairs, etc. The Buffalo Rock Cluster was a revenue juggernaut. After the sale of the Buffalo Rock Cluster, Mercury became Mercury Capital Partners, a private equity firm making investments primarily in the media space.
We are Charlie's Angels. We have been working for Charlie for over 30 years. Charlie is a real entrepreneur.
Charlie's a native Buffalonian. He's a great guy. He's a great broadcaster. He knows how to pick the right stations, how to pick the right people for the stations, and how to make the format on those stations work.
Meanwhile, Charlie has shared his success with others. His philanthropy has been focused on the arts spanning the East Coast to the West Coast. Charlie also became a patron of the Metropolitan Opera Company, which has some of the best voices in the world. Locally, he sat on the Martin House Restoration Corporation board.
He served for about 10 years as a director of this organization with great dignity and style and with many accomplishments during his tenure on our board.
He sat on the Albright Knox Art Gallery board since 1997, served as board president, and currently chairs the museum's investment committee overseeing a $190 million endowment.
His broad knowledge of not only culture, sports, community, and architecture. And I think we were so lucky, and I was so lucky to have his leadership.
Finally, since 2000, he has served on the board of the Seymour H. Knox Foundation in Buffalo, a major benefactor of the arts.
Congratulations, Charlie, on being inducted into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. You deserve it.
Congratulations on being inducted into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
You've been an amazing partner. You changed my life. I'm very grateful, and nobody deserves this honor more than you do.
Thank you, Charlie, for the great years of working with you. You're a smart man, a great businessman, a great radio man, and I love you.
Sir Charles W. Banta, it's been a long time coming. You are truly deserving of this Hall of Fame. Congratulations.
Charlie, congratulations on your well-deserved award. There is no one like you, whether it's the broadcasting industry, philanthropy, or wherever you choose to support our community in Western New York. Congratulations.
Charlie, congratulations for your induction into the Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Charlie, on your induction into the Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, Charlie, and welcome to the Buffalo Broadcasting Hall of Fame.
Congratulations, my friend.
The only question I have is what took them so long. So congratulations on this truly great honor.
Thank you for all you've done for me, Charlie, and congratulations on your induction to the Buffalo Broadcast Hall of Fame.
Charlie, congratulations. You certainly deserve this honor.
Congratulations. God bless. You are the greatest, my friend.
The Buffalo Broadcasters Association is proud to induct Charlie Banta into the 2021 class of the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Thank you, Buffalo. Thank you, Buffalo Broadcasters Association. It's a great honor. And also, I want to thank the other congratulate the other inductees, especially Heidi and Eileen, both of whom work for me. And I want to thank the great Jim Safe, who produced this video, and also Carl Russo, who narrated this video. You know, I love working with Carl. Every time Carl and I had a serious conversation, it would always end by Carl telling me, where the hell else am I going to hear that? So I've worked with some pretty heavyweight career in my life, especially in markets like LA and Washington, D.C., and the video wasn't long enough to really capture some of those clips, which were great. But it was really my second tour of duty in Buffalo where I ended up working with the greatest concentration of talent that I had ever worked with before. So I wanted to share some of my really super secret management techniques for managing this group. So the first was really important. The first was the building-wide public announcement system, which anyone could get on and make an announcement on. So Miriam was our receptionist. Given her Hispanic background, she was not exactly into AC/DC, but she was still the most beloved person in the building. So when Rich Gensler got a call, Miriam would announce, "Rich the Bull Gensler, you have a call." When my wife Penny got a call, or called in, Miriam would announce, "Mrs. Penny is on the phone." So that was how Mrs. Penny got her office nickname. It still sticks today, and sometimes it gets abbreviated to Mrs. P. But my nomination for the best PA performance in the building goes to Carl Russo. When Miriam would announce a call for Donnie Tomasulo, Carl would get on the PA system using his best Jack Benny imitation and say, "Don, oh Don." And then there were moments where everybody jumped on the PA system, just responding to each other's announcements until it just reached a point of ridiculousness. And finally, Hall of Famer Jim Pastrick would have to get on the PA system and say, "The abuse of the public address system will cease and desist immediately." So I figured I was just managing a bunch of lunatics. Another way we let this group amuse themselves was a stupid caption contest. Someone would scotch tape a photo, sometimes not the most appropriate, near the mailboxes. And then people would write captions underneath it, and then write more captions and more captions and more captions. And finally, it got to the point where it got so long and so inappropriate that we had to just take it down. So the good news was that Cellino and Barnes was not trolling the hallways, but it really didn't matter because eventually Cellino and Barnes tried to sue us anyways after Shred and Reagan, dreamed up their injured billboard to imitate the Cellino and Barnes injured billboards. Yeah, so Sandy Miller and I, my controller, we had a pretty big line item for legal expense in our annual operating budgets. Then there was the football pool. We had won the rights again for the Sabres and the Bills. Russ Brandon, thank you for that, and we really loved working with you. So the football pool was a pretty big deal. It was become a big, company-wide bonding experience. And there was a lot of money at stake, but the rules kept changing all the time. So we needed some grown-ups to run this thing. Who was the most responsible person for the job? Shred. Shred affectionately called me Father Chuck because he knew I hated the name Chuck. But Shred and I came up with a pretty good set of rules. There were top 3 winners every week in the money. There was also money for the person who came in last. And of course, it was Miriam, who knew nothing about football, who was almost always in the money every week as a winner or a loser. And so I asked her for the secret of her success later on, and she said, I picked my favorite team colors. But I'll tell you one thing, she knew a hell of a lot more than the Bills players who were in and out of our stations all the time because we own the rights. And every time I asked them for a pick, they'd always get it wrong. So let me make it clear again. I did not attend Carl Russo's bachelor party. The stuff of legends. And as incredible as it was, probably now that the story's been told 15,000 times, it's even more unbelievable. But I did attend Shred's bachelor party. And I want you to know that I had Shred and Reagan's best friend, criminal defense attorney Paul Cambria, who is here tonight and will attest to this. I asked Paul to make sure he escorted me out of the room before the entertainment arrived. I actually thought it was a pretty good thing that one of Shred and Reagan's best on-air friends, I thought it was a good thing for our bottom line that one of Shred and Reagan's best on-air friends was a criminal defense attorney. Sometimes you have to manage great talent by not managing them. Just let them soar with their strengths. Like star account executives Henry Ferry, and Kenny Scott. So one day they asked me if they'd like me to join them on a sales call, the Canadian Ballet. I thought, geez, these guys are pretty cultured. When I finally realized what the Canadian Ballet was all about, I elected never to make a sales call with these guys. Just let them go do their own thing. And then there was our incredibly successful NTR sales manager, Kelly Sutton. By the way, our payroll was on a 2-week cycle. So Kelly came into my office one day and wanted to talk to me about the Christmas party because that was becoming another, like the football pool, becoming another big deal company-wide bonding experience. And Kelly said, you know, I should dress up as Santa Claus one day for that party. Said, I'd be Banta Claus for a day. I said, look, Kelly, I play Santa Claus around here every 2 weeks. So think about it for a moment. We were the coolest game in town. We had the Bills, the Sabres, 3 rockin' FM radio stations during FM's golden era before the advent of the internet, cellular, and social media. My staff, for the most part, was young, single, and having the time of their life. Fortunately, I didn't know what they were doing half the time. Meanwhile, I was married and just acting as the designated driver. The first time Bill Sauer and I met was over lunch, when he had to decide whether justice was coming after all. So I ordered a vanilla milkshake, which seemed to impress Bill. I mean, I don't know how many people are impressed by, ordering a vanilla milkshake, but Bill was pretty impressed by the fact I ordered a vanilla milkshake because he grew up on a dairy farm and really liked vanilla milkshakes himself. But the waitress said, there are no vanilla milkshakes. There are no milkshakes on the menu, period. So this was Bill and my defining Jack Nicholson 5 Easy Pieces moment together. I said to the waitress, do you have milk? Yes. Do you have vanilla ice cream? Yes. Do you have a blender? Yes. So I said, how about this? Why don't you put the milk in the blender, put the vanilla ice cream in the blender, turn the blender on, and then bring it to us. So I think Bill liked my persistence, and he decided justice was coming after all. So Bill's provided great leadership, and has been my wingman on my right wing ever since. Charlie's angels, Jennifer and Sandy, have been my wingmen, wing people, wing she, her, whatever the phraseology, on my left wing forever. And of course, there is Mrs. Penny. Like Miriam, Mrs. Penny is not exactly into AC/DC either. It's been a long and winding road from Buffalo to Pebble Beach, California, back to Buffalo, to Princeton, New Jersey, finally back to Buffalo where we belong. Thank you, Mrs. Penny, for making the trip with me. I love you, Mrs. Penny. And hey, Larry, after looking at that video, I love you too. And I love John and Rob, and I love the whole 97 Rock crew. I love the Edge crew. I love the Oldies 104 crew. Super talented, every single one of them. I love everybody who came to our 4 tables tonight, some of them from way out of town, and I really appreciate your all being here tonight.
Great stories. Radio, a lot of fun. Oh boy. Well, our next inductee spent 3 decades as an award-winning consumer reporter before transitioning into academia. Since then, Mike Igoe has excelled in his second career, receiving numerous awards for his excellence in teaching.
An author of 3 books, Mike has also produced several educational videos that have been honored with various awards. Claudine Ewing, tell us more about Mike's career.
Mike Igoe. For 20 years, he was the consumer reporter that viewers in Buffalo turned to for help, and they made it known.
And we got no response until we got Mike Igoe from Channel 2.
He brought some of the best consumer stories to viewers.
We had no successes whatsoever.
Nothing was happening before I called you.
I'm heartbroken that when you're old, they give you a kick in the dupa. That is terrible.
He helped the elderly. He helped everyone frustrated get results. In 1989, his feature was called Money Matters.
You want to invest your hard-earned dollars wisely. How we spend or save depends on the information available to us.
If you were looking for a new car, Mike had tips. If there was a scam, and there have been plenty of them, Mike had a warning for you. Trash, trees, nothing was off of his radar. And while those he helped hugged him, those who he found at fault, well, let's say they let him know.
Ripped off? You're a pimp. Save it for the judge.
Tough Questions is what he did on a daily.
Should our viewer have received a ticket for parking on Hancock Street?
You know, sometimes we make mistakes.
What exactly is happening with that asbestos project?
Will your client be able to pay back that $5 million?
We'll see.
He was checking out dangerous bridges and illegal traffic signs.
So maybe you got a traffic ticket that you shouldn't be paying.
And who can forget his annual toy test in the end that helped lots of daycares. But then there was this.
Together for 40 years.
He helped raise money for charities, including the Muscular Dystrophy Association. He started hosting in 1980. Sometimes life presents a challenge when you least expect it.
You know me from Two on Your Side, but what you may not know is that I'm also a colon cancer survivor.
That was 2003, and we were all by his side. His career on television allowed him to meet his childhood idol, Buffalo Bob Smith, and travel to Ireland to trace his roots.
Tell me more.
You're nice, good, sound teeth.
Oh, teeth? Good teeth, right?
Yeah.
Can I go trade too?
Yeah.
And I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Mike Igoe went to the top, and from him going to the top, now I'm on top.
Mike turned to teaching. He spent 3 years in China. He's now an associate professor of journalism, entering his 9th year at SUNY Fredonia. He received the SUNY Chancellor's Award for Excellence in Teaching and awards for instructional videos.
Mike was always kind of fun to work with. He took difficult stories, he made them easy to understand. One thing I can say, he had the messiest desk in the whole newsroom. Congratulations, Mike, on your induction.
Always running, to get the job done. Congratulations, Mike Igoe.
The Buffalo Broadcasters Association is proud to induct Mike Igoe into the 2021 class of the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
Good evening, everybody, and thank you for coming, whatever brought you here tonight. And I should mention a few things, by the way. This is all real video, no fake news here. And frankly, you know that video of me running at the end? Now, of course, it wasn't like that. The photographers sped it up and slowed it down and put Charity of the Gods music and all this stuff. But that was actually the Al-Qaeda trial back in 2003, so that was real video. Now, Claudian very nicely captured many, many moments of my life, but I got to tell you, for sure, the top soundbite in that piece of video was when the criminal called me a pimp. Absolutely. High point of my career, right? Anyway, for sure, I want to acknowledge all my other inductees tonight, including Andy, Al, Mickey, Eileen, and Heidi. They've all been a part of my life. But Andy in particular, you know, he had a special moment, a special connection to the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame, because, of course, Buffalo Bob was inducted into this many, many years ago. And during the first time he came to Buffalo, when he was awarded an honor by the Convention Center, he and I produced a piece. And that was the first time I ever got to see my childhood idol. And, you know, my media career in my life, I got to meet a lot of my heroes, and many of my heroes turned out to be zeros. But frankly, Buffalo Bob was a very genuine, very nice man, and I was so happy to meet him. That was a thrill. And Norm Fisher, who's at my table tonight, he also did the piece that we did the night that Buffalo Bob was inducted. So thank you, everybody. A couple other quick thank yous. My colleagues from SUNY Fredonia, who made the trek all the way up from the big city of Fredonia, hours drive, led by our chair, Rosalind Smith. Thank you. Also, congratulations to my former student, Patrick Ryan, a winner of the Russert Award. And also, yeah, sure, clap him. That's okay. Joanna Lehman, the other winner from Buffalo State, I was on the committee and I watched her work. It's quite good. So two young people who show a lot of promise there. And I told Joanna there was a time when I started teaching, I was actually a full-time adjunct for 3 semesters until China stole me away. Sorry, Buff State. Anyway, in my table, I don't have time to acknowledge everybody, but I do want to mention the longevity award at my table is Tim Keegan, who is my photographer at WNEP in Wilkes-Barre from 1980. Shrieks, Jesus Christus, Santa Maria. Well, you know, you saw Claudian's video, many, many magic moments, but now, as Paul Harvey used to say, the rest of the story. Well, I'd like to tell you that my coming to Channel 2 is very altruistic, and I was out to save the world and all that good stuff, but frankly, it's a real different story. You know, Channel 2 at the time was a very, very bad number 3 when I came in 1989. And if your anchors were not named Irv, Rick, and Tom, people pretty much didn't want to watch you and didn't want to know you. So when I came here, frankly, my expectations were pretty low. What motivated me to go to a low-rated station? Well, my wife and I wanted to move back to the East Coast, be by our family and friends. So we figured we'd suck it up, spend a year or two, figure it out then, and guess what? I wound up staying there for 20 years. The only place I stayed longer was my mother's house. So anyway, things have certainly changed at Channel 2. There was a very hard time when I got there. The station went into bankruptcy. The NBC network said the ship had sailed and our affiliation was going bye-bye. Not so much. And fortunately, out of the bad came the good. We were acquired by Argyle, which later became part of Hearst, and eventually Gannett, which became Tegna. And they both set us on the path to right the ship, providing resources, leadership, and a clear vision of how we could win viewers and how we could serve our community. And you know, I think what has made a difference at Channel 2 and the other stations I worked at, as well as my career, is a commitment to the community. You know, it's the mantra I've been based all throughout my 30-year career, and I think it's pretty true. It started in 1980 as a very, very young reporter. I started in Wilkes-Barre, Scranton, when my hair was still dark, and the station manager said, "Hey, kid, you're going to be doing the Jerry Lewis Telethon on Labor Day." Oh, that's nice. Watched the Jerry Lewis Telethon. And little did I know, just that thing alone was the start of a career which got me very involved in community causes. In fact, the Muscular Dystrophy Association, all 3 stations I was at in my 30-year career were Jerry Lewis stations, and I got involved all throughout the year. And I'm happy to say Jonita Hairston is at my table tonight. She was kind of like my mentor through the years, tell me what I needed to know about the families for doing stories and different events and activities and whatnot. And you know, even though I said when I came here, my expectations were fairly low, one thing I did learn very quickly is how special Western New York was. The community felt very much like home. It didn't feel like viewers I was serving. It felt like family and friends. And indeed, they did become my family and friends. You know, this past summer, I live down in Chautauqua County right now. And frankly, the little town of Sheridan, one of the things we are known for probably is having more cows than people. So I don't get up to the big city very often. But I was walking out in Bear Lake one day, so keep in mind, I'm not dressed up. I got cutoffs on, and I got sunglasses, kind of grubby. And some guy yells out to me to talk, "Hey, Mike Igoe, is that you?" And yeah, I acknowledged it was me. And he proceeded to tell me all about my career. Bung, 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 bung. I was amazed. You know, I remembered things when he told me about it, but frankly, I didn't think about it much. But after listening to him, it really gave me an opportunity to think about my career, because that was right about the same time the Buffalo Broadcasters announced that I was going to be inducted. And, you know, I got to thinking what we've heard many, many times tonight. We can and do make a difference as broadcasters. And I'm very proud of the career that I had, as many others are, as you've heard tonight. And, you know, when I cross into Erie County, so again, I'm pretty much down in the small city, and I don't come up here that often, except for maybe to see my grandkids, I see many, many examples of things in the towns all throughout Western New York where I brought about results which improve the quality of life and or eliminated troublesome situations. And I'm reminded we do make a difference, and it's something the media can and should be doing. And you know, I got to tell you, the people of Western New York did something for me as well. As you heard in Claudine's piece, back in 2003, I was suffering from colon cancer. And frankly, I didn't think I was going to make it. I thought the angel of death was on my door. But I did survive, and I got such an outburst of support. You know, I got giant cards, I got flowers, you name it. And I think that definitely encouraged me on and helped in the healing process. You know, I think we've heard a lot about the young people tonight, whether it be the Russert scholarships and whatnot. The hardest part of being in the media today is the climate of the times has changed. When I was a college student back in the 1970s, Watergate was the thing. Woodward and Bernstein were heroes. The media was heroes. Fast forward today, the media is not so much. We keep hearing fake news, fake news, fake news all the time, and it's a very difficult time to be a media person. But is it difficult to stand out? Is it difficult to do the right thing? Absolutely. Is it impossible? No way. And I applaud all the media professionals as well as the future ones who are doing that. Absolutely. My last report on Channel 2 was in January 2nd, 2009. And my very last words I ever spoke on Channel 2 is, if you've ever had any role in helping me help others, thank you. And tonight I want to reinforce that thanks, many, many years later. But now I ask your help in another way, to pay it forward. You know, my time in the media is over with, but I've taken on a different role which impacts the future of the media. For the past 12 years, my role has been training the next generation of journalists. And the guiding principles I always use with them are the 4 tenets of the Society of Professional Journalists. Seek the truth and report it, minimize harm, act independently, and be accountable. And it's a responsibility I want to tell you I take very, very seriously. You know, it's now my 9th year in Fredonia, as you heard mentioned, and I've also taught in China for 3 years, as well as short-term in Hong Kong and Turkey. But one thing all the places have in common, all the students I've seen time after time, they do care. They care about what they're doing, they're striving to succeed, and they're pretty hip to the challenges they're going to be facing if they do enter the field of media. And yet, they still want to go forward. So I will nurture that, and I will encourage that. I strongly believe in the next generation of journalists. And I'm also very well aware if people don't like about the media, but trust me, the kids know it as well, and they want to do something about it. I don't think I'm being naive when I tell you this upcoming generation of media professionals has the talent and the intelligence to bring about change in the future, if they're given the chance to enter the industry early on. So my message is simple. If there's any way you can nurture their careers, please do so. You might be able to help out more than you realize, even with some simple words of encouragement. My students have shared many, many stories with me of kindness that showed to them and cooperation. And if you're one of those people who's done that, thank you very much. So I guess in a sense, they'll be carrying on my work, the old idea of paying it forward, leaving the world in a better place before you leave. So thank you to the Buffalo Broadcasters Association for bestowing honor on me. Thank you for sharing this special night with me, and God bless you, everyone.
All righty.
From behind the camera to the courtroom, this next inductee has done it all in broadcasting and beyond. He's a champion for the rights of broadcasters involved in issues like cameras in courtrooms, media access, drone use, and copyright issues.
If it wasn't for Mickey Osterreicher, some of the rules and regulations for broadcasters, and specifically for photographers, might be very different. Pat Felball takes us through his impressive career.
From an early age, Mickey Osterreicher loved cameras and photography. He came to Buffalo from the Bronx in 1969 at the age of 16 to attend school at UB. As part of his work-study program, he worked at WBFO and was on the audio board the day NPR's All Things Considered aired for the first time in Buffalo on May 3, 1971. From there, he went on to work as a photographer at the school's paper, The Spectrum, eventually becoming its photo editor, covering his first political convention in 1972 in Miami. He graduated cum laude in 1973 with a degree in photojournalism, but by then he'd already been hired by the Buffalo Courier-Express as a staff photographer covering news, sports, and features. Some of the memorable images he shot were of the Attica trials, where he got to know the famed attorney William Kunstler and former Attorney General Ramsey Clark, who were representing some of the defendants. Other iconic images were taken during the blizzard of '77 and the Love Canal for Time magazine. He also photographed many concerts, politicians, and celebrities, such as John Lennon, Elvis, the Stones, Frank Sinatra, and Paul Newman, along with Presidents Ford, Carter, and Reagan. When movies first started being filmed in Western New York, Mickey was there to capture James Caan, Burt Reynolds and Goldie Hawn, and George Burns. His sports images won a number of awards, such as the one of Bob McAdoo fighting Bob Lanier for a ball at the odd as Van Miller announced from courtside. He was there when O.J. Simpson was inducted onto the Bills' Wall of Fame, and many of the images of the now fallen superstar were used in the ESPN documentary O.J. Made in America. After the Courier folded in 1982, Mickey went to work for WKBW News, where he shot, edited, and produced until 2004. The confession of a murder suspect moments after shooting his wife.
That's the way I say it, so the woman never fool around with the husband. When the husband got 14 children, worked on his life, and the woman gonna fool around with other men, that's the way we Puerto Rican, we take a revenge.
The first full interview with Jack Kemp after being named as vice presidential running mate to Bob Dole in 1996.
Hey, Mickey! Hi, Mickey! You're getting great, Mickey.
Wendy, you coming?
And Scott Norwood's wide right in Super Bowl 25 were among the highlights of his career, which also included freelancing for ESPN.
Hi there, this is Chris Berman of ESPN. I'd like to congratulate my good friend Mickey Osterreicher on his induction into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. Over 40 years of serving Western New York, shooting everything on TV, news, sports, and that, of course, meant the Buffalo Bills, which is how I got to know him. So often when I'd come up in those glory years, the late 80s and the 90s, Mickey would shoot the interviews and they'd go from 3 to maybe 10, and the Bills story was told nationwide thanks to Mickey's lens. It can be said tonight that no one circles the wagons like Mickey Osterreicher. Congratulations.
In 1995, Mickey covered the O.J. Simpson murder trial just before starting law school with his longtime colleague Steve Boyd.
Mickey, in 1989, inside that red and yellow and orange circus wagon Mickey Mobile, you and I started an incredible journey together, and we saw a lot of great places, from Miami to Minneapolis, from Honolulu to Wiesbaden, from the UN to the White House, and even off to law school, and then later in life to Roswell Park, supporting each other as we both struggled through some difficulties and came out of the other end pretty okay. I want to thank you for your friendship, and I want to honor you for the great work you did as a journalist, and since becoming an attorney, the great work you've done as advocates for journalists. It is very fitting that you enter the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. I send you my heartfelt congratulations.
After graduating and passing the bar in 1998, Mickey became actively involved in matters such as cameras in the courtroom, the Federal Shield Law, media access, public photography, use of drones for news gathering, and copyright infringement.
Hi, my name is Mickey Osterreicher. I'm the General Counsel of the National Press Photographers Association, and I love what I do for our members.
Mickey understands better than any lawyer in America that photojournalists have to get close. They have to be present. They can't call sources afterwards. They can't report a story from blocks away. They can't show up the day after a news event and figure out what happened. Over and over again, whether it's Ferguson, Missouri, Occupy Wall Street, or Black Lives Matter, Mickey has stood up for photographers. And he stood up with a simple message. Photography is not a crime. It's a constitutional right, it's a public service, and it's a duty we owe to future generations to document today. For those of us who have fought for press freedom, there is one thing we know about Mickey. He is a difference maker.
Osterreicher was a member of the International Association of Chiefs of Police Public Recording of Police Advisory Committee and helped draft the manuals and provide training on the issue. He has also presented similar programs and training to journalists and law enforcement agencies throughout the country for over a decade. The Society of Professional Journalists honored him in 2015 as a Fellow of the Society, the highest professional honor given by the Society for extraordinary contribution to the profession. Having volunteered as a reserve sheriff's deputy since 1976, Mickey was named Reserve Deputy of the Year by the Erie County Sheriff's Office and Deputy Sheriff's Badge and Shield Club. He is admitted to practice in New York State and several federal jurisdictions around the country, including the U.S. Supreme Court.
Congratulations, Mickey, on your induction into the Buffalo Broadcasters Hall of Fame. It's such a well-deserved honor, and I'm truly lucky to call you a friend. Keep up the great and very important work. Our fellow Buffalonians are all so proud.
It is with great honor that we induct Mickey Osterreicher into the Buffalo Broadcasters Association Hall of Fame class of 2021.
Every time I see that tape from behind the goalpost, I think it's going to turn out differently. Never does. So talk about behind the scenes. Thanks to Pat Feldball, who put things together. You know, Pat took all that material that we gave him and made chicken salad out of, well, you know the rest of the saying. Steve Monaco, thank you so much. Steve Reska, Leah DeSenzo, all for their tireless efforts in making tonight's 25th anniversary celebration so memorable. Congratulations to all the inductees, but especially to those that I worked with over the years, not so much as competitors, but as colleagues. Al Vaughters, Mike Igoe, Eileen Buckley, Andy DeSantis, and Heidi Raphael, who along with Penny Wolfgang and Nancy Sanders, who I worked with and drove crazy for so many years in both the newsroom and the courtroom, advocated for my induction to this austere group. I also want to thank my WKBW family for employing me in a job where I never felt like I worked a day in my life. Those accomplishments and memories are indeed priceless. Also, I'd like to thank Mike Connolly, the executive editor at the Buffalo News, along with Denise G., the managing editor, for being here tonight. I'm so proud also to be here with my law partners, Joe Finnerty and Kareem Abdullah. And they're here along with some dear friends of mine, obviously. My friend and teammate and law school partner, Steve Boyd, and his wife, Kate. And I'm also pleased that when I started college in 1969, I became friends with my two roommates. It's been over 50 years, and they came to honor me tonight. So thank you to Steve Zalesnik and Daniel Schimberg. The other people I'd really like to thank, Tom Burton, who has been one of my oldest friends, along with his wife, Lisa Flynn, who used to work at Channel 7 and 4. To my family, who are all here, who came from all around the country. My daughter, Elena, Unfortunately, her husband, Sean, is home taking care of the grandkids back in Houston. My son, Major Ian Osterreicher, is in the U.S. Air Force and an F-35 pilot. My other children, Hannah and Andrew, her husband, Ella and Nestor, and most of all, to my wife, Kathleen Curtis, who's also the director of photography at the Buffalo News. Without her, I think this award might have been presented posthumously. It's been truly a labor of love to have been part of this profession and to have recorded a small part of Western New York history. Now, being able to give back representing visual journalists through the National Press Photographers Association and upholding the constitutional protections embodied in the First Amendment. So thank you all very much. I'm truly honored.
I'll just tell you, before Mickey got very serious and started to be an attorney, he was a lot of fun to work with over at Channel 7. So when you get a chance, stop either Mickey or Bob Kaczynski and ask them what it was like to shoot down at Disney World during the Linda Levy days. I'll leave it at that.
I wish I knew what that meant.
I know, but they know what it means. Awful lot of fun.
And you know what it means.
I know what it means.
All right.
I sure do. All right, everybody. When we think about broadcasting, we also think about news and radio and TV. But as we know, there's a lot more to our industry, and tonight we want to recognize another side of the business. And Katie Morris is here, and we've got a lot of wonderful people who are going to help with our final award.
We're excited to announce that this year, and every year moving forward, we'll be honoring an individual with an Arts in Broadcasting Award. Our hope is to recognize those whose work is broadcast, often on a national level. Tonight, we're thrilled that our first honoree, Bill Fichtner, could join us to be part of our special event.
This is exciting.
I'm excited too.
Is this your idea?
Yeah, but I'm going to tell you something. You gave me the idea.
I'm not shocked about that. He did his own dirty work. None of us would have jobs. Jake Flanagan, I worked with Rick. Graham Waters.
Willie Sharp, United States Air Force, man. Requesting permission to shake the hand of the daughter of the bravest man I've ever met.
You have any idea where you're stealing from? You and your friends are dead.
How much we talking here? Through the roof.
A former Cheektowaga resident and Maryvale High School graduate, William Fichtner started his storied career on As the World Turns in 1987.
And I might even shoot myself, because the gun's all tangled in my finger.
It's all gonna be okay. We'll see. Whoa! You know me. I'm a team player.
For the past 30-plus years, he's worked steadily as one of the industry's most talented and trusted character actors.
Despite what you've heard, prefer short hair.
Appearing in some of the biggest titles in TV and film.
Federal issue and Lopez.
Lopez overturned 50 years of precedent.
Too bad they ruled a plain text reading of the Commerce Clause.
Now watch what I do with his wrist. A Delta Safari? That of General Garrison's asking. Oh, I'm in. Have a nice meal, Captain.
Forget the money. It's a lot of money. What are you doing?
Coldbrook was a seed of an idea that Billy came up with after we had met on Black Hawk Down to write something for he and I to star in. So years and years and years go by, and Kane DeVore and him wrote this script.
And of course, acting is you know, his first love and his first home as an artist. But
But when he found directing, he definitely found his second home, and it was like such a natural fit.
He was very excited about the fact that he could bring this to his hometown.
Returning to Buffalo for his directorial debut, Coldbrook, Fichtner hired locally for the majority of his cast and crew, heightening the community's already positive view of him. And ever the Bills fan has even narrated an ESPN 30 for 30 about the Buffalo Bills' 4 consecutive Super Bowl appearances.
You know, he's one of those people that just loves this place. He loved growing up here. He loved being a part of Western New York, and he would do anything that he could to promote this area. So it's always been a delight to be able to reconnect with him when he comes back to his roots here.
Connections to Hollywood have helped put Buffalo on the map as a destination for arts and entertainment, and he is a true ambassador of the place he once called home. Which is why the Buffalo Broadcasters Association is proud to present the first ever Arts in Broadcasting Award to William Fichtner.
On behalf of the Western New York film community, congratulations.
Okay, Billy, congratulations on your big night. I wish I could be there.
I just love you so much. My well wish for you is just keep creating as you can't help but do. That's you.
I didn't get that page in the script. Wow. Well, I didn't write anything down, but I'm in a room full of 400 Buffalonians, so I feel safe and supported. Thank you to the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. I feel like Irv Weinstein. Topping tonight's Eyewitness News. Listen, so many people came up here tonight and they talked about the most influential people in their life and really a big part of it. And the biggest person in my life is here tonight, and that is my lovely wife, Kimmy. Yeah. And honestly, you know, directing my film Coldbrook here in Buffalo, and it won't be the last, this new phase of my life really took off with the support of somebody else that's in this room, and his name is Tim Clark. What a guy. What a guy. Can't drive, but what a guy. Listen, you know, you are seeing where this is going. You know, man, I'm so proud of to be from this town. I'm so proud of the BBA standing here tonight, and for 25 years honoring so many people that deserve it, and to recognize them. And I wish you all the best for the next 25 years and beyond after that. I'm so proud of the people of this community. I'm so proud of the Bills and the Sabres, but most of all, I'm so proud that I can share this moment with you. Thank you. I'd also like to say that Linda and I have agreed that we're going to be an MC duo for hire. We're going to be in Des Moines on the 18th and 19th, and I'm not sure what the event is.
All right, darling.
Here we go. I just always love it when they spell my name right. I'm just so happy. Thank you.
All right, beautiful, everybody. That was great. Well, it's been an amazing evening with a deserving group of inductees for this year. Could we please ask that all the inductees to stand where they are at their tables, and would everyone join me one last time in giving them all a round of applause for their accomplishments. Woo! So we want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It was kind of crazy out there with a little snow and rain, in Buffalo? And we want to thank you on behalf of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association. And another big congratulations to our newest Hall of Fame members, So good night, and we'll see you at next year's ceremony.
Thank you.
Watch the National Desk, America's News, now.
People will never forget how you make them feel. And when people come through our doors at Epic, they leave feeling like we really care and we really made a difference in their lives.
Because every person influences children. I think knowing that Epic is here to provide services so that they can enhance their skills in their parenting journey, know who to reach out to get services from, I think that's why Epic.
Epic's been good to me. I hope I can continue to be good for Epic.
"'Tis the season of Christmas, and all through the place, the elves are all busy preparing the steaks. The stockings are filled with our very best wine, and even gift certificates to come in and dine. So to all of our guests that we do so adore, Merry Christmas to all from Russell's Steaks, Chops, and More."
We are the handcrafters of Niagara Chocolates. Handcrafting chocolate is all we do. Here's Chris, inspector of caramel gooiness. Leanne, master of peanut butter butteriness. Joe, checker of coconut toastiness. And Victor, champion toffee cutter. Niagara Handcrafted Chocolates. We obsess, you indulge.
Your Weather Authority, only on Fox 29 News at 10.
No matter the occasion, Premier Gourmet is here for you. Featuring Buffalo's best craft beer selection, grocery store items, coffee, and gifts. Find locally made Buffalo products and everything you need for your home bar. Visit premiergourmet.com.
Experience Buffalo and Erie County's unique stories with the new Buffalo History Museum podcast. Connect with Western New York's history as you listen to detailed narratives about heritage, architecture, business, innovation, and significant events and people throughout time. The podcast takes inspiration from the museum's collection and beyond, from experts on staff and featured guests. From the 1918 influenza to F. Scott Fitzgerald, experience the stories that make up our region. The Buffalo History Museum podcast. Listen wherever you get your podcast.
The journey has begun to rescue Buffalo's history on news film and videotape.
It's the journalists, it's the reporters and photographers who basically gave their communities the first draft of history. people can go back and see what happened in Buffalo firsthand.
Today, the Buffalo Broadcasters Association officially launching its archive project.
There are some great clips on the film and videotape that we have here in the archives. Everything from Bethlehem Steel shutting down, the original film and video of the blizzard of '77.
And such a force that none of us have ever experienced.
You know, my parents will talk about the blizzard of '77. And I know the stories of the blizzard of '77, but I wasn't there for that.
January 28th, 1977. The worst blizzard Buffalo has seen this century blew in shortly before noon that Friday.
So when I can go back and see that video, it helps paint the picture for me, and I think that's what we want to be able to do for people in this generation and future generations.
So this is not just, you know, you and me at home, but this is also researchers. This is documentary makers. This is schools, so that it can be an aid to help them teach the future generations.
The fact that our moving image history, captured on Buffalo TV news film and videotape, has survived this long is a testament to those including Herb Fleming, one of the BBA's founding board members, who knew the value of this precious link to our past and the lessons we can learn by actually watching our history unfold.
But history is more than names, dates, and places. And that's just a skeleton, and you got to put flesh on it.
Scream and holler and be heard.
And now hearing and seeing the people who made these things happen, you know, give it life.
For more than 50 years, the news film holding those early life-giving images has survived many moves, from the TV stations to the Buffalo and Erie County Historical Society to Canisius College, and then to basements and sub-basements and warehouses.
You had to go through rat droppings in order to get to the film.
Dave Gillen was BBA president here in 2009, and he knew what had to be done.
We need to take it and, you know, get it so that people can see it, put it into a format where people would be able to look at it.
3 years earlier, a BBA meeting had been held with Buffalo television executives. They learned of the archive project's potential from one of the nation's preeminent moving image archivists.
The Buffalo Broadcasters are leading a collaboration here in Buffalo that is really going to make a difference nationally.
You're watching WIVB TV, proudly.
In 2007, WIVB-TV, Channel 4, became the first station to sign a licensing agreement with the Buffalo Broadcasters Association.
We are the video archive. We're the video memory keepers. Nobody else has that. And if we don't do something about it, it's lost.
In 2009, museum and library specialists from around the country learned about the project and Buffalo's place in broadcast history.
Actually, one of the most important media centers in the country of the evolution of television news.
WKBW-TV, Channel 7, came on board with an agreement in 2018. To make sure the images on the sometimes brittle film and videotape are not lost forever, the BBA sends selected material to experts who know how to handle it and convert it to digital formats. It is a race against time, especially when it comes to the old 3/4-inch videotapes.
Shelf life is about 30 years, so we're past that deadline with a lot of these tapes. Our next big step is to secure as many grant funds as we can to digitize and preserve this material. Additionally, we hope to partner with local institutions to help us get the word out that we have this collection.
The people in Buffalo are genuine. The history is captivating, and there is a passion to preserve that history for all time and all future generations.
A time when Buffalo was bested by a blizzard.
The Buffalo Broadcasters Archive Project got the attention of the nation's top moving image archivists in 2019, who saw how the BBA's archival postings are now featured on the New York Heritage website. Heidi Ziemer helped launch the BBA's Archive Project.
This is our first television, film, and video collection in New York Heritage. So each contributing organization in New York Heritage has its own landing page that tells the history, the background of the organization itself.
A newly revamped Buffalo Broadcasters Association website has begun posting what promises to be one of the leading regional projects of its kind in the country as new partnerships develop to make it happen.
And we really want to do it. The heart is there. The love for the community is there. The history is there. So yes, collaborating with many different places is going to be a key part to getting this project done.
As we pointed out when the Archive Project first got underway, for more than a century, moving images have told the story of Buffalo, from its greatest moments in history to its greatest people, to the way we have lived and worked and contributed to the nation in so many ways. Buffalo set a standard for the nation during the early years of television news, and now, with the help of the Buffalo Broadcasters Association, will set a new standard for preserving that history for all generations to come.
Watch the National Desk, America's News, now.
Hi, I'm Kevin Lovello, inviting you to Spiel the Wine, Saturday evenings at 7. Each week, a new guest will join us to talk about the art of wine and winemaking. For everything you want to know about wine, it's Spiel the Wine. And as always, cheers to you.
And up next on the Olympic ski run is Russell Salvatore going for the gold. And they're off. If you win the gold, Russ, where will you be having dinner tonight?
Russell's, of course.
Look at Russ go.
You ain't seen nothing yet.
Russ, look out! Ooh, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, that ain't nothing.
And the winner is Russ Salvatore for the gold. What do you got to say, Russ?
Be my guest and let us do the rest.
No matter who you are, or where you're from, you are welcome here. Tú eres bienvenido. مرحبا. أهلا وسهلا. You are welcome here.
You are welcome.
You are welcome here.